Welcome to another episode of Talk of All Trades, episode number 14. I'm your host, Thomas Esteta. We are minus one out of the three. Mikey J could not be with us today, so filling those big shoes will be our other host, Cody Stevens, behind the scenes.
Hello.
What's up, dude? Yeah, but he's still gonna make sure to participate. So, anyhow, our guest today, I'm super pumped to have on, is Captain Scott Douglas. He's with the Channelview Fire Department. Been knowing Scott for a good while now. I didn't really put the number to the years yet.
Yeah.
But you've been like, for me, so we're kind of getting into a little bit of my my expertise, my knowledge as well with the fire service. But for me, you've been a huge mentor to me in this fire service. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Very much. And so it's super. It's an honor. But again, I'm excited to have you on the cast so we can talk about your journey in the fire service.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. I've been watching the podcast. Yeah. Like you said, we've known each other for a long time now. So super excited to get on. I've motivated about it and yeah, I mean, just even coming down to the name, the Talk of All Trades, right?
Yeah.
It's perfect. Yeah. Just to kind of showcase what other people do. It's one of my favorite subjects is yeah, because we all work and, but then we all go out and we all have our own personal lives and nobody really knows our work self or what those day-to-day things are like. So,
exactly.
It's super exciting.
Yeah, and so the podcast is supposed to do that, right? The premise of our podcast is to do a couple of things. We wanted to give our friends a platform, give them an outlet to talk about that work life that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And then talk about, again, their personal journey into that. And so far we've had all kinds of people from different walks of life. I mean, our last episode was an independent filmmaker.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now I'm super excited to have a career path that most people know about, right? A fireman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty common. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty common. Most young boys
Every
are
little kid.
Yeah, they love exactly.
Yeah,
Fire Prevention Week in October rolls around, you know. And like I said, I have a little bit of experience in the fire service as well. Yeah. And so, if you don't mind, Scott, just kind of talk to us a little bit about how it was that you got into the fire service.
Sure. So, it's kind of the time old tale, right? It was this is nothing new. I came from something that had been around a long time, and my father was in it. So when I was, born, he was already working for the sheriff's office as I think he was already a deputy by that point. He started off as a jailer, was going to college. The sheriff's office paid for him to get certified. So he locked into being a police officer kind of on accident, but really, he got indoctrinated. The sheriff's office was like, oh, hey, you're 18 and you're a jailer. Like, you want to be a cop? Like,
sure.
They'll pay for everything. So he did that, but he was a volunteer firefighter with Seabrook. So that's where I grew up. He volunteered my whole life. So time off from the sheriff's office, anytime that was, he was involved in the Seabrook Fire Department. So I was hooked from day one. I had it almost seems biological to me because, there's pictures of me as a little kid playing with a fire truck. That was it. There was no third way. There was nothing else. I had
no plan B.
No plan B. Yeah. No, this was going to work or I was going to figure, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have been a wanderer for sure. But yeah, in my early days, it was, he did not push me towards it. He didn't beg me to do, it was nothing like that. It was just there. And I was the driving force. That really wanted to be a part of it, wanted to tag along with everything he did, all of that stuff. I wanted to just be in the fire station. And a piece of my childhood that, if you could go talk to your younger self, right?
Right.
Is I was in such a rush to grow up. I was in such a rush to do that. I enjoyed, I want to say close to zero of my childhood just because, I was going to be a firefighter. I was going to live on my own. I was leaving at 18. I was going to drive a cool truck.
So you just couldn't wait to get there.
Oh my goodness, man. Even through high school, there was no waiting. There, everything was a driving force there. I can have I have some weird memories of telling my mom, she's like, hey, it's summertime. Why are you wearing jeans? Because firemen don't wear shorts. At 10 years old. That's just how my mind worked. It was just that way. No, we wear boots and jeans. And it was a we from then,
Yeah.
So, and you can imagine there was arrogance that came into that and,
sure.
and a nerd, there was a piece of it that was not always, it wasn't great. It wasn't sunshine and rainbows by any stretch.
No, I get that.
But yeah, that was the driving force. So as soon as my parents divorced, I don't know, when I was 12 years old, something like that. And so lived with my mom for a while. So I wasn't absent from it, but it wasn't an everyday piece of my life. So I kind of had a little bit of a freshman and a sophomore high school career. I'll call it that.
Yeah. Experience.
Yeah, I had a normal experience, if you will. But
yeah.
oh no, the day I turned 16, it was on.
So Seabrook had a program where at 16 years old you could get into it. So is that like a junior firefighter type thing?
That's exactly right. So yeah, so for Cody's, for the people that that don't understand or that haven't seen it, there's 3 kinds of fire departments. There's a volunteer, a paid, and then a combination, which is a mix of both. And that mix of both can be anything. That can be mostly volunteer with a little bit of paid, or mostly paid with a little bit of volunteer.
Right.
Seabrook was 100% and still is right now volunteer. You call 911, everybody's kind of at their house. The call comes in and they respond to the station.
Right.
So most volunteer departments have some sort of a junior or an explorer program. Sometimes it's affiliated with a high school, sometimes it's not. Seabrook's was not. And so at 16, you're able to join. So you're allowed to do like everything except go into a fire and like cut on a car. You know, besides that, they've let you do pretty much everything. And then you can imagine, of course, like I was so into it, I didn't leave the fire station. And so I kind of got to sneak into some fires here and there. I got to do some cool stuff. So it was on from an early age, kind of on this subject. So this is how immature in high school I was. So like,
is it cringy?
Oh my goodness,
Come on,
it's so cringy.
Bring on the
so
cringe.
Bad.
Bring on the cringe. We've all been there.
So at 16 years old, like football practice was 2, 3, 4 days a week, right?
Yeah.
So fire departments, the training was on Mondays. Well, that wasn't enough. Like for me, like Monday night wasn't enough. I needed more in my head. Like I wanted it to mirror. So I joined the Nassau Bay Volunteer Fire Department too.
Okay.
I was in both.
Yeah.
My dad completely against it, told me no. Like first act of defiance, forged his name, turned in my application. So then I was running with both fire departments, which there was no reason to do it. I was just kind of looking for some separation. I think a little bit from him. Don't want to be under dad's shadow type of thing.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, forge your own path.
You can imagine. Yeah, these guys knew me at 4 years old, and now I'm 16. There's not a lot that I could get away with. Right?
Yeah, that doesn't get back to the old man.
Yeah, quiet little boy. Like, I was just a 4-year-old to some of them. So either which way, go to Nassau Bay. Now I'm running with both. Like 2 weeks in, school night, Tuesday night, I don't remember the exact date, but this apartment fire comes in, go to Nassau Bay, get on a fire truck, go to this apartment fire. It's in Webster. Seabrook doesn't make it. So this is like, now I'm making a fire without my dad for the first time. I'm trying to separate. And it was a terrible fire. It was in 2009. The Webster Fire Department was first. They were there when they said, hey, like, give me a box. I'll explain that in a second. But
sure.
When they said that, the dispatcher sent them an ambulance instead of the box alarm assignment, instead of all the other fire trucks.
Right.
They get it as a fire alarm. It's a burning apartment fire. And they pulled out 2 kids. One they never even got, and all 3 of them died. But at 16 years old, at 5:30 in the morning, I just watched these firemen pull these kids out. I got to do CPR on one, like load them up in an ambulance. There's one they pronounced dead in the front yard. Like now she's laid. And now, okay, we fast forward an hour. I'm watching them put the fire out. I'm trying to help, but they're not letting me do a lot, right?
No.
This was a serious, now you can imagine, they're pumped up. Stay in that corner over there was kind of my involvement. And so I really just got to bear witness to all of this while wearing a helmet,
Yeah.
But I got to see all that, and then I had to go to high school. And then now at 6:30, like, hey, you need to go home. And like there were some guys that were leaving because they had to go to work or something.
Sure.
So like they drove me back to the fire station, and like, these fire departments, they want to make sure you go to school. They check your report cards. They're not going to let you just be a delinquent. So like there was no skipping class. So then I like go to high school, and like you can imagine as a 16-year-old who's dramatic, who's cringy. Like I didn't tell anybody what had happened. I knew better not to do that. But like also I did not care about algebra today. You know what I mean? Like I got to do CPR on a 5-year-old 3 hours ago. I'm done with high school. I'm checked out.
Yeah, like, you want to talk about, you said you were in a rush to grow up.
Yeah.
That right there,
And that's why the junior program's good, but I kind of want to talk a lot of kids out of it in a way.
Yeah.
The fire department's going to be there. All of these things are going to be there enjoy a high school career, right? Like
Right.
enjoy a high school experience and kind of mess up, have fun, sleep in, skip school,
Right.
do all that stuff. Don't be in a
mentally
rush.
ready. Yeah, be mentally ready.
The fire department's not a place really looking back at it for a 16-year-old. Like it's just
Yeah.
at least not making calls. Like go up there on the Mondays and train, put the gear on,
Yeah.
do all that stuff.
Yeah, do the
But-
training. Yeah, exactly. Start that foundation.
Yeah.
But don't go see what you just got through saying.
Yeah, there's
that,
an argument.
That changes things.
For sure. There's an argument for both. And I see it. I've seen it both ways. I've seen a lot now working in these combination departments. And there's an argument for both. I think it depends on the kid. It depends on the person, just like anything, just like everything else we do.
Sure.
But yeah, that would be kind of my suggestion is make it, if you're like me and the drive is there and you just cannot not do it, then okay. But know what you're signing up for. I wish somebody kind of would have explained that to me. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to like going to high school after this.
I think maybe your dad was trying to tell you that, but you know what? When you're that young, the last person you're taking advice from is the first person you probably should.
You are 100%
is your own
accurate.
parent. So that, but then, not, like you said,
100%.
that's where another adult mentor figure
Yeah.
could come in and say, hey, maybe you're not hearing it from your dad for whatever reason, kind of like that Geico commercial with the TV dad.
Yeah,
You have a
absolutely.
TV dad that,
Yeah.
that could put into perspective and tell you like, hey, kid, but hey, what's done is done. So what happened in your life, it's
Yeah, what's done is done.
Yeah.
I'll revisit some things with my boy. But yeah, 100% that, yeah. And to your point, that's exactly what happened. Like my dad would give me advice and I'd be like, oh, okay, Dad, thanks. And then someone else would say the same exact piece of information. And I'd be like, Dad, I really should drive a Jeep and I should go to this fire academy. And he was like, yeah, that's funny.
That's funny. I just said that.
Yeah. He's like, I guess since Marshall Foote said it, you're good. Yeah.
That's a good name to hear. I haven't
Yeah.
heard that name in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Good old Foote.
Good old Foote, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So then I'll chime in here a little bit. I'm currently a volunteer firefighter, with the Deer Park Fire Department.
Yeah.
But I got my feet wet with Seabrook, right?
Yeah.
And then even still, really got into emergency response with the chemical plants because that's what I do for a living. Is I'm a plant operator.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you stuff like you don't already know, but we're doing this
No,
for the
for
audience here,
sure,
right? So the
yeah.
audience knows I'm a plant operator. 2009. A plant across the street from mine blew up, one of their toluene tanks, and I saw it happen. I was like, "Good Lord,
Yeah.
what the heck?" And then,
This is serious.
yeah, exactly. And then,
Yeah.
like a handful of minutes later, I see our ERT and our quick attack truck, which is just an F-250 with two freaking Master
deck
Streams,
guns,
deck guns welded to it. Anyways, it comes screaming by, and like right then and there, I was like, "I want to do that. That's what I want to do."
Yeah.
I want to
be a part of that.
Yeah, I want to run to the shit.
The problem.
Yeah, exactly. And try to be of some use,
Absolutely.
And some of that was a little bit of hero complex. I'll be completely honest,
There's a little bit of ego in there. There always will be.
Yeah, exactly. A little ego, little hero, little adrenaline junkie type deal.
Oh yeah.
But the idea of going again to the danger, just was something that piqued my interest. And so joined the ERT team, did some of that. And then like you, kind of wasn't enough. Because, for good, and this is a good thing, right? Industrial incidences don't happen all the time.
Yeah.
And so that's a good thing, right?
Thank God.
But exactly, right? Because then we just all die of toxic poisoning or whatever.
100%.
Yeah. And so, but also, too, for someone who, again, wants to be in the shit, that's not a good thing, right? So,
You want to be busy.
I find out about volunteer fire departments and join up with Seabrook. And that's when I see a young, burgeoning Scott Douglas, you know what I mean? Who's just gung-ho, fired up. How old are you in 2014?
2014. Let me think. I think I'm 21 or 22.
Yeah, because that's 10 years ago, right?
Oh,
So-
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm 30 right now.
Okay, so you're 20. 19, 20.
And I would have been already working with Channelview. I got hired at Channelview at 18. So,
Okay.
So, yeah, volunteering with Seabrook still and
Yeah.
working at Channelview.
Okay.
And I think I was living with Grant at this time.
Okay.
When we met, because I've got a video on my phone I found the other day of like the first time we ever hung out, and it was at Grant's kitchen.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, with Ryan and all that. So yeah, I'm somewhere in the ballpark of 20.
20 years old. I do remember you were
About to
young.
be 21,
Because
yeah.
I'm 27. Right
When that happened?
in 2014 when I joined with
Okay.
Seabrook, I'm
Yeah.
I'm 27.
Wow.
Right, but I see you. I see the way you carry yourself. grown up at a young age, no doubt, because that's
Yeah.
what I saw before me. You were may have been 19 or 20, but you were going
I was
going on 30.
super serious
Yeah,
back then.
yeah. So I could tell that, and what I really appreciated and what I've come to really appreciate about our relationship throughout the years is just how you took me under your wing. You know, you saw someone who, I'm just assuming here, but I think you saw someone who was just starting out, lost, because I probably had this deer in the headlight look, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of what do I do? I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure. And for me, I always wanted other people to be into it like I was.
Yes.
And so anytime like, oh, a young fit dude that's into it, that wants to do this, oh, and he's in a band and he drinks and he parties too. Like that was my that's me. Okay. I'm super into this, and when I'm not doing it, I'm gonna drink and party and go to bars, and then I'm gonna get back super into this. Kind of like we missed the good years of the fire service by like 20 years, like the 80s and the 90s.
Sure.
Those guys,
Yeah.
just T-shirts and arms and drinking, like that. That was it. No safety, no nothing. Just get after it. No OSHA laws, no nothing.
Yeah,
and so I was always drawn to that aspect of it. I wanted to. We partied hard, and then we went to work and we worked hard, and that was it. And so you just fit the mold. Like as soon as you came in, super into it and asking questions and putting your gear on fast, and then, hey, it's like 8:00. Like, yeah, my band's got a show tonight. Like, oh, you're what? Yeah, let's go. Fresh into 21, fresh into bar life, and here's this guy and now you're mentoring me in the other aspect of it, like. Oh, here's how you do this. Here's this bar, and these people own it, and you were so well connected in that environment that it was like we were just feeding off each other. Those years were, that's why we were so involved. Like, we just fed off each other. You taught me that, and I taught you this, and we just grew. Yeah,
it worked out, man. It really did. Like I said, having the right mentor in the fire service, can be everything. You know what I'm saying? And what I come to realize too, because there was a moment there where I thought to myself too, where I was like, man, I picked the wrong career path. Like I missed my calling because I was growing up. I'm like third generation chemical plant process operator, right? And all of my family's into it in that industry. So that's all I knew. So I had like deer blinders on, or not deer blinders, excuse me, horse blinders on to being a plant operator. Yeah. Because I wanted to get in there and make that money, which no doubt that's exactly what you do. But when I found the fire service, I was like, fuck. And it is exactly that. It's a calling. Like I was like, I missed my calling. So in that period of time there, kind of was thinking about trying to, go career with it, but recognizing a couple of things. One, it would be a severe pay cut.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I was like, man, I don't know if I can afford that. Two, you kind of touched on it. I really, I was in a party phase still. You know what I mean? And I don't know. You can probably back me up on this. Looking back on it now, that's if you want to have a really good, successful career, you can't really be partying like that. I think the majority of people can't.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? There may be some people who can do that, but even they will realize, and like I'm realizing now, that once you reach a certain age, you can't do that. You can't live that party lifestyle and be effective on a fire ground at the same time. You've got to choose one or the other.
You really do. And it's for those times, especially, I was feeding off my youth. For sure. And like I just had one rule: don't drink the night before work.
Sure.
That was my only rule. Besides that, it was just open. Send it.
Yeah.
And so I would take that 12 hours to recover, and it was enough just to get by. But no, looking back, there's a lot of wasted potential for sure.
Yeah.
That was just spent because I came to work to relax and make a fire in that same way. Like I wasn't focused on fitness, wasn't focused on diet, wasn't focused on any of that.
Right.
I was focused on like, I came here to make a fire, and then I'm going to get off, and we're just going to keep sending it. We're going to keep living it. Yeah. We're going to party. Yeah, it just wasn't. That's not a sustainable life. I'm glad that I did it and got it out of my system. I know what it's about. Like I don't regret those times.
Yeah.
But looking back to a young 22-year-old kid, if you really want to buckle down and focus on this, and the Navy SEAL community is like came into the spotlight, right? Like they're everywhere on the podcasts, on the clips, on the social media.
Right.
you can take a lot from them. They are in this, what we're talking about is their exact lifestyle of, you get guys that are super into the parties and now they're checking out of work early and they're coming in a little bit late and they're not doing it at all on the workouts. And it's the same thing for us. As far as that goes, you can really focus in on all of those things and start lacking at work. And like, I'm in between right now. I still am right now. Like, I haven't dove into fitness the way that I should have yet. You know, like all those things I hopefully eventually will work out. But yeah, I mean, it takes time. It takes time to grow and learn and do all that. And whether you delay going into the fire service or whatnot, or just have just a healthy balance of it, one of those things has to give at some point.
Sure.
For sure. A lot of dehydrated days, a lot of just getting through it. Yeah. And I did. And people have for years. Right, it's not the end of the world.
No,
but at some point you have to make a decision.
Yeah, you'll have to make that choice.
Yeah,
I agree 100%.
I was sent to like kind of Channelview has 2 fire stations. So okay, for everyone that doesn't know how this worked, for me,
so
I volunteered. The Nassau Bay thing didn't last.
Right.
Stayed with Seabrook.
Yep.
So out of high school, I just graduated high school on the minimum plan again.
What year, by the way?
11.
2011?
11.
Okay.
So I forged my dad's signature again on
I'm seeing a pattern here.
Yeah, you seeing a pattern? Yeah, I was done. I was just, the CCSD doesn't tell you this, but there's a minimum plan that exists that you can graduate on, and like you don't have to take 2 more maths, 2 more sciences or something. My senior year was a joke. Like, I think I had 3 electives.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the only time I went to school. So forged that signature to get on that minimum plan. So my senior year was nothing. It was hard. This was a difficult part, but like, go explain to a bunch of counselors that you want to do something that's never been done before. I graduated high school in EMT at 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
So went to the San Jack, got their approval, got the high school's approval to do the ride outs. And so I went to, it's like dual credit, but it wasn't, because I went to an actual college class from 6 to 10 every night. Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, and then like Tuesdays and Thursdays I worked. So that was my whole last semester. So super driven and not partying then.
Sure.
Like none of that had happened yet really for me. I was super buckled down on that. So passed EMT, worked over the summer to save money, and then in the fall went to the Texas A&M Fire School. It sounds way more prestigious than it is. It's yeah, that sounds like it's a lot. It's not.
Yeah. You could have just gone to San Jack?
Absolutely. The reason I chose this plan is that it was 16 weeks.
Okay.
Instead of 2 semesters.
Oh.
I was going to be done in 16 weeks. It was 9 to 5.
Again, always in a rush.
Always in a rush. But there was no working during this. It was 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Monday through Friday and some Saturdays. For 16 weeks. Yeah. So I had to go get a short lease on an apartment and all this stuff. So I get that certification, knocked it out. It's too mature really to be there too, because now I'm in College Station in an apartment with a guy from Canada that I met literally in the group chat. Like when they formed the class, they put everyone in a big email. And so basically I was like, hey, I'm from Texas. I'm getting this apartment. I need a roommate. And half the class in all of these A&M classes is Canadians. They have like a 2-year program, so they can come to Texas and get this certification knocked out very quickly. Okay. So it's a famous thing for them to do. So half the class is straight up Canadian citizens. And so I had a Canadian roommate. He comes in, he's like 25. Most of the class is grown adults. So here I am again, this 18-year-old, very skinny. I weigh 145 pounds at this point. Like, I am just this little kid pretty much in a group of grown men that are trying to get this certification, and they are deadly serious and not messing around.
Right.
So that didn't equate to a lot of partying either.
Well, that's good, though.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. It was serious.
Kept you honest.
Looking back, they were some nerds, like the instructors and some of the stuff, academy life, they try to make it so serious, and it's terrible.
Sure.
But you get through that. And so by December of 2011, I was applying, and that took a whole year to work out. I applied at a bunch of places. Before the phones, man, I printed out on MapQuest, like Google Maps. I typed in fire department. I pulled up every fire station. I had a list of like 60 fire stations
within the area. I guess
within the Houston area, from here to like halfway to Dallas. Something like that.
Sure.
Conroe's, all that stuff. And I just blanketed my application on like 3 consecutive weeks. I just drove to every one of them, got an application, filled it out, attached my certs, gave it back.
Right.
How difficult it was to get a job back then, I didn't get a phone call for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Wow.
crazy. Channelview actually interviewed me that day that I applied, December of 2011. Hey, we're going full time in January of 2012. Interviewed me.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Were they volunteer at one point?
They were. They were
okay, got it.
100% volunteer up until this point.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so they were 100% volunteer. Then they had like a duty crew of like professional guys working
Right.
on one fire truck, right? 3 fire stations. One of them's got some professional dudes that are on it. So that way, if for whatever reason the volunteers don't respond or can't respond, or it's early in the morning, they're all going to work, there's 3 dudes on a fire truck that can go.
Do something.
That was kind of their setup.
Got it. So the interview that day, I'm sorry.
So they interview me because they're going full time. They flipped a light switch. They figured some volunteers were stealing some money or something, and so they came in, and the right guy said, "Hey, I'm going to make this a full time fire department. You're going to hand me over the keys to this whole fire department, and y'all are going to leave, or you're going to be federally indicted because they saw they were stealing money, paying mortgages, all this other stuff."
What?
Yeah, so that occurred, and he had the reins to create his own fire department, and then he did. So it was a very cool thing to be a part of. But they interviewed me. I get through the interview process. I'm done. I'm thinking I'm about to get a job offer, and the chief like had my application, and he like set it down, and he sat back, and he was like, "Hey, brother, you're 18. Like, we're 21 and up. You can't drive. You can't do nothing until you're 21." I left out of there like teared. Golly, I was so close. I was right here. A startup fire department. How cool. Can't apply to the city, can't apply to Big Town till you're 19. So it seems like so dramatic, but those 6 months as an 18-year-old, I'm like, what is going on?
And especially as driven as you've been. I mean, from 16 to this point, dude, you just can't wait to be a 15-year veteran in the fire department.
That's all, yeah.
The salty dog.
Where I'm at now.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. Yeah, that was exactly right. So I left out of there just heartbroken. And finished blanketing my application. Nothing happened.
Sure.
The Westfield Fire Department, if anybody knows where George Bush Airport is, this dude sat down. He's actually passed away now. His name's Tommy Searcy. Got a twin brothers in the fire department. Great guy. He sits down and he's like, "Hey, we make a lot of fires here. I'm not going to hire you because you're an 18-year-old kid, but you can volunteer here." They were a combination fire department. And I was hooked. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And started volunteering there. So that was kind of feeding me a little bit. That was they hooked me up with a job as a dispatcher for the Harris County Emergency Corps. So at 18, I walked in this fire station. You can volunteer. They were mean, and they trained me a lot. And it seemed like the professional thing. They were all Houston firemen.
Right.
So it seemed like I was doing what I was doing. I started making fires. I didn't have a job, and they hooked me up with the dispatching job at Harris County. So that worked out quickly. That was a big one for me. Like, these guys, I'm getting accepted. I'm getting to work. I'm getting to do this. Working in a low income neighborhood.
Yeah, which means fires,
shootings.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah, just ramp it up. Yeah. So
because you were still doing Seabrook.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. No, I couldn't get enough of this.
Yeah. Because you lived in Seabrook.
Lived it.
So since you lived in Seabrook, you're still able to volunteer at Seabrook, but you're really getting that experience out of Westfield.
Yep.
Because, like you had mentioned,
100%.
Just the demographics of that area breeds fires, breeds all those emergency calls,
Absolutely.
that you're going to get in Seabrook, is more affluent. So those are few and far between. But of course, fires still do happen. Right?
It happens. It doesn't matter where you're at. Eventually, at some point, you're gonna have to put this air pack on and go to work.
Right.
But it's just the frequency is higher in some of these other areas.
So Westfield was getting you that experience that you're gonna need. And you know what? I think it's awesome that you found that because in between that time period of 18 to 21, right?
Yeah.
You can pretty much satisfy. That desire that you have to make a difference, to be in the fire service, to be getting this experience, going to work, all these things.
It was a big learning curve for sure, and it helped me a lot because it was just now you had people that came into work at 0700 and
cool. You pull up Westfield.
There it is. That's it right there.
Yeah.
So and that's the Westfield Pride. That's its whole thing. That's probably Tommy Searcy's funeral right there.
Oh man. Sorry to hear that, by the way. Sorry for your loss.
Yeah, man, I know all these guys.
Look at that.
That's
La
a
Raza.
dad, and that's his 3 sons.
Really?
Those are the Garcia boys. That's Ed Garcia.
Yeah. That's one thing I did notice about this fire department. A lot of La Raza there.
Oh, yeah, big time.
I love it.
The back of the shirt says, Bomberos del Barrio. Like,
Yeah,
it's
bro.
the whole thing. That's the station. Yeah.
That's it. Oh, that's a
Yeah,
beautiful station.
I love it. I still work there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I started there at like 18. And so I'm getting to make these fires and things are good. And I got a job at a neighboring fire department that was going to be like a part-time deal.
Okay.
You could not be at both. They hated each other. It was old school dramatic.
Really?
And they told me, hey, you're out. You're
Westville
out.
told you that?
Yeah, it's like a gang, man. Like they were going to jump me out. Like, you're done. You're going to East Tex. Like, they gave me the middle finger, man.
What?
Yeah.
Did you go to East Tex?
I did. It was terrible.
Was it short-lived?
Very short-lived. They're running a whole different operation now. I'm not bad-mouthing
I
anybody.
understand that. I understand
10
that.
years ago was a different story.
Absolutely.
But yeah, some things that happened that I wasn't a fan of. The example I give is like when you walk in the fire station, what do you expect to see on the coffee table, right? Some magazine, Firehouse magazine, and some coffee. And they had GQ and like Golf Digest on the table. And when I saw that, I was like, ooh. And that was just telling of what came after that.
Sure.
And it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I got mixed up and I was frustrated in myself with how it all transpired. Seeing Westfield be first in on a fire, and then I go there and I'm last. And I didn't get to do anything, and these guys are coming out with burn up helmets and like this and that, and I was like, all right. So I left. I left. I bounced within 60 days.
Wait, this would have been your first paid job?
So it was a part-time position. It wasn't a full-time deal. They were going full-time, but they weren't there yet. How this happened was these volunteered fire departments that were in Harris County, the greater Houston area, all around here. Forest Bend, the Sagemont, which is southeast.
Right.
Those weren't cities, and they didn't have a tax base. They were young and, or not young, but they were barbecue plate fire departments. They had to do fundraisers for their fire trucks. That's what it was. Well, Texas legislature and changes, and they created Texas state laws that allowed them to form what's called an ESD, Emergency Service District.
Yes.
They became a taxing entity and became millionaires overnight. These fire departments that literally had to sell barbecue plates to get a fire truck now were taxing water bills and everything else, and now they're making millions.
Whoa.
And that when that happened overnight, you can imagine some of these people. That's why they embezzled and stole money and stuff.
Yeah. Because these are regular schmegular dudes.
100%.
And no oversight.
And they're running a crazy organization all of a sudden. And so
I can just see it now. You ever see those memes where they got the glasses that come onto the dude? Yeah.
all of a sudden, he's in a fur coat with rings and shit.
Oh no!
Yeah, so
no!
It was terrible. Yeah, and it happened all around. It was all over the news for a long time. But
yikes!
All these departments were going through that going through their growing pains of how they were going to start, paying people. Mm-hmm. And everyone had a different spin on it. So either which way, East Tex was going down that road. I didn't like the way they were going. It was a separation.
Sure.
So it was a separation, trying to go back to Westfield. They told me, no, you can apply back in a year. So now you got it. Yeah, that's what you get. Yeah, they were ruthless, man. They leaned back when I texted that guy. I just know that he was like, yeah, whatever. Fuck that guy.
So, but you know what? But looking at it, I'm seeing for hearing your story. You're just trying to get paid for what you're doing. That's it. 100%. That's all you're trying to do. So you're trying to find your avenue. You've blanketed the greater Houston area for the better part of 3 years now. Someone hire me.
Please,
so East Tex was going to give you a little taste of that. So you went where your career was gonna finally start producing some bones for you. You know what I mean? You need some money. So there's so much you can do this for free. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Before it's like, hey man, And
you can imagine my old man, in the back. Hey, you working at Westfield yet? Like, where are you working? Where are you applying? Like, he's super driven more than I am.
Yeah.
So all of those things were all transpiring at once. Yeah, for sure. So but learned a lesson. Learned that, like, hey, the grass is not always greener.
Right.
A paycheck's not everything. And in my head, I thought, if you're getting paid, you're a professional. This is a better operation. That is not.
That's not the case.
That is not the case.
Yeah.
I can't stress that enough to anybody.
Yeah.
That is not the case one bit. So
Right.
learned that lesson the hard way. Cool. And that's a common theme in most young men's lives. Like, you're learning it the hard way. And that's what I was doing. I was learning it the hard way. So randomly get off of the dispatching job one day, driving down the Beltway. I'm passing Channelview, and I was thinking of Channelview, and my phone rang. And it was Charles Villegas, the assistant chief of the Channelview Fire Department. When his name popped up, I knew what this call was.
Yeah.
And it'd been almost a year. I answered it. Hey, Chief. Hey, is this Scott Douglas? Yes, sir. Hey, I was curious if you could come in for an interview. And I was like, absolutely, yes, sir. I'm passing Channelview. Can I come in right now? And he laughed like, nope, it's not what I said.
Slow down.
That is not what I said. Yeah. And so we talk it out or whatever, and we schedule an interview for such and such day. And I said, hey, Chief, I'm still not 21.
Right.
I'm barely 19. And he was like, oh, yes, sir, that won't be a problem. Don't worry about that. Come on in. So I guess I had made some kind of an impression
No doubt.
a year before that.
Yeah.
They hired 3 rookies. 2 of them went to Houston or something. There was an opening. He thought to call me. He did. And the rest is history as far as that goes. Like,
Yeah.
I came in and interviewed at Channelview. I interviewed with my mentor in the fire service. He was my captain when I was a young kid. And then as we progressed together, now I'm a captain under him as he's a district chief.
Oh, nice.
On the same shift.
Cool.
So like we've been lucky. That's Channelview right there. Yeah. We've been very lucky to follow each other kind of through our careers. But I interviewed with him. That interview went well. I started the next week and it was on.
Yeah.
The early days of Channelview, how they chose to spin that is when it went full time. Every department does its own thing. They chose to go to what's called a 4-shift schedule. The Houston Fire Department works 4 shifts. There's options of how firefighters could work, just like there's options at a chemical plant. DuPont schedule versus
4 on, 4 off.
4-10s,
Yeah,
4 on, 4 off.
Right.
All of those things exist in the fire service world.
Okay.
So Houston works 4 shifts. Basically, it means you have a whole extra shift of firefighters, but it gives them more time off, but they generally get paid slightly less. Mm-hmm. Okay, but you're getting more time off. There's a balance of what's better. And every department's different. Houston works 4 shifts. You get more time off. Channelview did that too. And what Channelview did was basically the fire chief was a Houston captain and on a pumper, and he had the realm to start his own fire department and said, I'm going to hire all my friends from here, and asked them, hey, do you want to work 2 full-time jobs? Does your wife want to stay at home?
Yeah.
And take care of the kids? And do you want to come and work 2 full-time jobs?
Yeah.
And a bunch of them were going to be captains. And so a bunch of them said, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'll make 120 grand this year, which you can imagine 10 years ago, that was crazy money.
Yeah, it's still good money.
It's still good money. It is. But like back then, there was no realm in which a firefighter would ever make that.
Yeah, you're right.
So go make 50 here and 50 there, something like that. This was big money for these guys, which was awesome. They were going to be their own dual income house with still like 3 days off in a row sometimes. There was a whole thing. So, but that's what they did. So I walked into Channelview with no idea what to expect. So not serious that I had like a Channelview t-shirt and I had my uniform on, but I was wearing like a Seabrook job, like a jacket.
Okay.
Because it was cold that morning. And like the first thing through the guy's mouth was like, take that jacket off now. Like, who do you think you are? Be cold. Like, be cold, Rook. Like that was the atmosphere walking in. So I did. And it was just on. They were all Houston firefighters. So now this place I wanted to go to that I knew made a lot of fires, that was my destiny. Still waiting to test there, like wasn't old enough. And then the next test was coming up in like a couple months. So that was my plan. But I didn't tell them that. Like, oh no, I would love to work for Channelview. I'm not going to use Channelview as a stepping stone. In my head, like, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm cool. This is going to be a job and I'm going to go to Houston. So then I walk in and it's all Houston firefighters. And it's just as serious as it is anywhere else at any of those stations. They are on it, drilling me, I just can't express what it's like to be a 19-year-old in a group of 30-year-olds that have been doing this and are really good at it. It's just intense.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was good.
That's
it was
a
everything
blessing.
I wanted it to be.
That's a huge blessing, man.
Yeah.
Because like you said, dude, there's some career departments. Just because your career, that doesn't mean you're like here. It all depends on
Absolutely.
I think it all just depends on how serious you want to take it, and the same goes for a volunteer house, I believe, because
100%.
Volunteer houses, they get a bad rep, and they should, some of them
Some of them, yeah.
they really should, because and thank God for places like Hit It Hard for the Yard, that's like a volunteer watchdog group or something that will put these guys on blast, and unfortunately my department has made it a couple of times. That's neither here nor there, but it should be at the back of your head, take this job serious, and make sure what you're doing, is oh man, just make sure you're doing it with the right intentions. Make sure what you're doing is mission centric, right? And the overall mission is to obviously provide the best fire suppression and emergency services you can for that area. Period. And so that's going to require you to be a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Most of them is going to start with physical fitness and just an overall, just a all-in attitude, all-out effort, all these different things. Okay. Anyways, I'm rambling. The point is this: however serious you take the job, you know what I mean, and that's how you're going to be perceived, and that's how you're going to be, that's how you're going to conduct yourself. And so, volunteer or career. I think that's basically what it boils down to. Yeah,
and that's a big one. There are some departments out there that do great as volunteers in that sense, because people have done it, and then they know. Just the big one for everything is stay calm. If anyone has ever been through an emergency, right? Like, it's so easy to get wrapped up into yelling and screaming and tunnel vision and calling 911 and running a million miles a minute, and it's like, no, when we get there. Have you ever seen that movie, The Guardian? If anybody has, like, the only difference is the attitude in which you enter the water. Like, it was perfect for what we do, just because it was like the same thing. Yeah, when we get off the fire truck, it's a deep breath. Right. It's okay, I'm a master in this chaos. And I'm just looking at this whole thing. I'm looking at the big picture. How's the best way to solve this problem? Yeah. I'm here to solve the problem.
Right.
Whether she fell or whether her house is on fire. Like, whatever this is, I'm going to calmly go about this, and I'm going to move with some urgency when it's necessary. But that's very rare, and the whole move is just to be calm. And you see, the ego really just eats up some of these guys, and it's a little bit more prevalent in the volunteer world, but it's super prevalent in the professional world too. That ego can just take over, and you start yelling and screaming and telling people what to do, and before you know it, you're out of line, and you don't even remember saying it. And you see that a lot. You see guys that, if they saw a video of themselves, they don't remember that. And it's like, man,
that happened.
Yeah, you were out of control.
Right.
Like, that's really what it comes down to for me, is calmness and control. It's just, I'm in control of my own body. I have to start here in my skill set and my knowledge to now push it forward to the group, to the guys, to the citizens, to the environment of which I'm entering, whatever that is.
Right.
Yeah, if you're not in control of yourself, and so that's the big one. That's the big takeaway for anybody that's seen a YouTube video of a fire or has seen their neighbor's house catch on fire, or you're thinking of doing this, is like, are you down to calm yourself down in this? Are you able to? Yeah. Are you someone that can, whatever it is, get in a car wreck and not go running up there to it, or if you see one, not go running up there to it? Can you walk? Can you relax? Can you just talk to people?
Sure.
All of those things come into play.
In a high stress situation, but in a very calm manner. Yeah, I agree. And I think we're getting to a point where we can maybe possibly start addressing this. So you are a captain at Channelview.
I am.
Right. So the things that we just got through saying, I think it's super imperative that a officer in the fire service conduct themselves in this manner.
Absolutely.
And so we're at this point in your career. You're Channelview, you're a rookie, you're getting put through the ringer. They're setting the scene, so to speak, of how things are going to be run in this firehouse.
Yeah.
So take us through that part of your career and now into your eventual promotion.
So you start off as a rookie. So any fire station you walk into professionally, you're going to have some form of a probationary period where they're ready to fire you and they're just testing you, right? Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a year. Some departments, it's 18 months. Some departments, it's 3 months. Everyone has some aspect of that. And so mine was a full year, and it was difficult. That's filled with a lot of different things. Basically, you can picture a textbook full of guidelines there's policies and procedures of no, this is, you
do it like this.
You will do.
Yes. You
And
will
that's really all the HR stuff, the conducts and the chain of command,
right.
How you address a captain, all of those things, or chief's the big one. And then it gets into guidelines of this is how we're going to operate on a house fire. This is how we're going to operate on a car that's flipped over and is in the woods, right? This is guidelines. It's a roadmap to help you, but it's not an absolute.
Right, because guideline. Right.
Okay, well, here's 500 pages of that, and we're going to test you over it the next couple months. So, like, it's broken up into phases, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and each phase has, we'll call it 15 guidelines, right? And then there's skills associated with that. So we outline it, phase 1, phase 2. If you make it through phase 2, most guys are going to be good. You're gonna flourish now. The next couple months, we're done breaking you down, and now we're here to build. And so 3 and 4 should go quite easily, and then you'll be at Channelview the rest of your career after that. Mm-hmm. But we lose a lot in phase 1 and 2, whether it's just the process of indoctrinating you into the fire service.
Okay.
But a lot of it's just the work aspect itself. If you're thinking of being a firefighter, or I can do that, it's to me it's like don't sprint, but like run at a good pace. And like hold your breath every 30 seconds. You know, like that kind of pressure, that panic that you're going to feel if you do that. Go do a 100-yard sprint and hold your breath for all of it. That panic is a good feeling in the fire service, especially at Houston. Some of these very aggressive departments is really good at replicating it. We'll put you in your gear and we'll block you out. And so I struggled hard. I had never been through anything like that. The fire service was happy fun time for me, and going to runs and with not a lot of consequences. And now you show up to a place where, you went to this fire, you got out and you pulled the hose a particular way, or you went left or right. That captain's going to ask you why you chose that. And then he's going to dissect why you shouldn't have done that. And then you will pay for it if you do it again. Those things kind of like, oh, wow. And then and they're really good at making you pay physically. It is what it is. And so a lot of that's just gauging how you're going to do under pressure. Because in the fire department, there's going to be times where, let's say somebody yelled at you. You have to immediately get over that, learn that you can't explain yourself, and move on to the next task right now.
Yeah.
And so if you're someone that gets yelled at and you have to stop what you're doing and explain, I've got to explain, no, you don't understand. I was really looking at, shut the fuck up. Like, no. And so some people can't deal with that. They can't deal with authority or the ability just to move on. And so those are all the things they're testing in a year. Like, we're not just testing, like, can this guy put his gear on? We're testing his ability to think and comprehend under pressure. And when you look at this when you look at the whole picture, this isn't for everybody,
right? And
we're going to weed you out,
no.
and
that's good.
And that's why I'm very fortunate to work for a small department. That's why I stayed at a small department and didn't go to the Houstons. Was I realized in 6 months, like, oh, I've seen 3 other dudes get hired after me that didn't make it, and I've seen this guy make it, and he's really good, and now we're friends. I'm not going to get that anywhere else. I'm not going to get that at Houston. Mm-hmm. And I, at the time, we didn't ride an ambulance either. EMS and ambulance is all very heavy in the fire service now. And so I didn't have to do that really at Channelview. It was really all fire and really focused on honing your craft and focused on, and at this time, I'm 19, I'm not drinking or anything. I'm working as much overtime as I can. I'm volunteering as much as I can. I am sucked into this whole process. Like, this is my whole world. And I'm forming my own processes and how to get dressed and stay calm and how to move quickly but not get out of breath, and the fitness aspect of it. I'm in running all the time, just running, just run. I wasn't lifting weights or anything. I was just running, controlling breathing, working on all of that. Your breathing controls your thoughts, controls emotions, that whole thing. So I was forming all of those processes. And so that was my whole first year, was just learning all that, and then decided, I'm staying. I'm not going to Houston. I tested with Houston, got through the physical agility test, and was going on to the next step, like the background, and I just withdrew. I was like, nope, I'm good. I really like it here. Yeah. That class was like 2013 B. They were talking about it was going to go to paramedic school or something. Nope.
No EMS. No EMS.
Yeah, and I like EMS now, of course, as I've gotten older. I shouldn't say I like it, but I understand it.
Yes.
And so looking back, there are some big pros to that. You know, you'll always wonder what if. It would have been cool if I went. I would have probably been a paramedic, and I would have been really good at that because I dive into it.
Sure.
So either which way, glad I didn't go though. Channelview's worked out. So that was my 1 year. My whole year, that's all I did is I stayed right there and just focused in on that and learned. And there was some arrogance there too. There was some arrogance that came with that. I made some fires and did good, and I had a captain that told me I did good, and no one else was going to tell me different. Oh yeah. Yeah, so Sir Michael Branch is another huge mentor for me, and he's the assistant chief of Westfield. He's a chauffeur at Channelview. He was a firefighter at the city during this, and so he was also super into it. And again, this scrawny little running, 18-year-old kid, and here's a big old burly black man that is really good at this job, and he's giving me the business. And like, how crazy it was at Channelview for a while, half of my shirt was untucked, and it was on. Like I was in phase 3. I'd been told, oh, you're going to be good. Half my shirt had come untucked, and he was like, you're getting way too comfortable to be in my fire station.
Ooh.
And it was on. Yeah.
Ooh.
Get dressed and grabbing a ladder and following him, and he's just screaming at like it's like boot camp.
He's smoking you for that infraction.
Smoking me.
Oh, wow.
Smoking.
Wow.
Yeah, and there was some more leading up to it, I'm sure. Like he told me, he's like, you were my subject at dinner. At dinner, you were who I talked about the whole time and who I listened about, and man, smoked me. Yeah. And like all of a sudden I was 16 again. All of a sudden I could do nothing. He got into my head immediately. And that was it. I couldn't do all of the stuff I'd been doing. Yeah. I no longer could do it because he was there. Yeah. And it was just on. Yeah. And so all of those things really built up like how serious this could be, And so that was that was the whole year 1. I missed those times.
I think that's good.
I missed that motivation.
Yeah. No, I think that's good that you had that though, because, we can see it. You could see it now. You're early in your career, 18, 19. You're starting to kind of get the hang of it. Yeah. And like you said, you're getting that big head. You needed that. What'd you say his name was? Michael what?
Sir Michael Branch.
Michael Branch. Yeah. Sir Michael Branch.
That's his first name is Sir. S-I-R.
Oh,
absolutely.
Shit. My man. All right. Well,
my man.
So Sir Michael Branch is there to knock you down a peg or two, let you know, hey, young buck. Yeah. Hey, you're doing good. Yeah. But don't think all of a sudden now you're 15-year veteran. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You got it all figured out. Just because you made a handful of fires or whatever, and what's cool to provide a little bit of perspective, the Scott Douglas that I got a chance to meet and run into is that one who's a year into Channelview, right? Because you're 19, 20 years old, and that's the one who took me under his wing. And so we were kind of talking about this precast, and then Cody, reminded us, hey, save it for the cast. But I was gonna talk about my very first fire.
Yeah, for sure.
Which for me, I think I'm pretty sure I can speak for most firemen. Everyone kind of remembers their first fire.
Orange helmet at this time?
I think I was
like
orange
still
helmet.
Rookie.
Yeah, still rookie, man. Okay. Still very much a rookie.
Middle of the night.
Middle of the night. It's an apartment fire, Pirates Landing on NASA Road 1. And like I said, this is my first fire, so I remember it fairly vividly. For you, it was probably just Tuesday. So, you know what I mean? But at any rate.
Not back then.
Yeah, well, but at any rate, though, again, what I remember getting off the truck and, I don't really have much experience to go off of, so I'm kind of going off of, movies I've seen. So I get I get off the truck and I see John Q. Citizen just standing there, and I'm like, "Is anyone still inside?" And you're like, "Hey, shut the fuck up! Don't talk to nobody. Come follow me." And so we go, we make it around back, and we see, the fire showing, and we go to, pull lines, and that's the other thing too. And now that I think about it, and speaking on Seabrook, again, I'm not trying to talk down on them or nothing, but I don't really remember going through much of an academy with Seabrook. And so because of that, I didn't know a proper way to pull a line, pull a cross lay, pre-connect, whatever. Yeah. Matter of fact, there was a Seabrook cop helping me pull this line. And then I leave it and go somewhere else. And I think, what was his name? He owned the lawn care business, that dude.
Theo Presswood.
There you go, that cat. Okay. Yeah. And as I'm leaving the line, he goes, "Get the hose." And I was like, oh, and I'm pretty sure this cop, I'm sure this cop's looking like, what the, you know?
Who's this child y'all have?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like he pulls this line and then leaves the hose on the ground. Like,
Yeah.
grab the hose. So anyways, it was a fiasco. My first fire went how you would expect someone who never went through a formal academy. Like I said, didn't know even how to pull a pre-connect.
Were you on the nozzle for when we got to the fire on that?
Not initially.
I actually remember this now.
Do you?
And here's what you didn't see.
Okay.
Bryant Garrison was in the back with you.
Okay.
Who was a 15-year veteran,
Yes.
who was a Houston fireman, who
Yes.
was a salty dog type dude.
Yes.
That was my first fire to ride the seat up front, riding as a captain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do this, right? When we got out, he very calmly was like, hey, I'm letting you ride the seat right now. Like, I hear you talk on the radio, but listen to everything I tell you to do.
Yeah.
I said, yes, sir.
Yeah.
100% he did everything. Every decision, like it all came kind of from him.
Okay.
Like he was my safety net. Like you're talking about me, like as a safety net or like telling you what to do.
Yeah.
He was telling me.
Yeah.
I mean, I had an idea, right? But
Sure.
yeah, 100% he run. And I remember that we went to the third floor. It was in between floors.
It was. Yeah. So
and we went up.
yeah. So and I became separated from y'all in this process. Go
'Cause
figure.
We took off.
Yeah, y'all took off, and I'm pulling hose lines and leaving nozzles on the ground. So I become separated from y'all, and what I end up doing is I end up being on the second floor,
Okay.
and getting that fire that was
Yeah.
exposed in between the third
Perfect.
and the second. So I ended up getting some nozzle action on that. But
Yeah.
after the dust settled and it was all said and done, I come back and I took a selfie of myself by the gear rack.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, and it's so funny because I sent it to my grandmother. And my grandmother actually printed it out and framed it, so it's
course.
framed at grandma's house.
Of course.
So I actually have a documentation of my first fire. But I remember coming back to Michelle, my wife, and telling her, I'm going to be doing this for a long time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
this isn't going away.
I'll be doing this for the rest of my life. You
Well,
know.
Man, it's so funny you brought that story up because I truly kind of like forgotten about that. But of course, everybody remembers the first one, right?
Right.
As a big deal. When you talked about talking to citizens, so like a part of my process now, because I used to do the same thing we all have. Is anybody inside? Where's the fire? You ask them questions like that.
Try to get some information.
I've stopped all of it now.
Yeah.
Because you just prejudice yourself. Hey, where's the fire? It's in the back bedroom to the right. Well, maybe I shouldn't be going right. Maybe I need to look at this and see what it's doing. Maybe I need to make another decision.
Yeah.
But I've prejudiced myself with that because he said, like, how am I going to explain this later? Why'd you go right? Because the guy in the front yard said
yeah.
it. Oh, really? Like, okay.
You're a professional.
Yeah.
You didn't do your 360,
You didn't
your
look at the
assessment,
house.
yeah, whatever.
You didn't make your own decision.
Yeah, exactly.
And the same thing with our people there. I'm going to treat every fire like someone's in there. That's how I'm going to treat it. I'm going to attack the fire that way. I'm going to search
Conduct your
that
search.
way.
Yeah,
I'm going to ventilate it that way. Like everything is, I'm just assuming this person's stuck in there and I got to go get them. Once I started doing that, it didn't matter what that person said anymore.
Right.
Whatever it is, it's your kid in there. Go get it. Like once all of that clicked, okay. So that became a part of my process that it's always evolving and changing.
Sure.
So, but after it's to kind of circle back to the career progression after that first year, allowed myself to get complacent. The guys like Sir Michael and them had really helped throughout that first year of keeping me,
Keeping
in
you
check.
honest. Yeah.
Well, now we get into year 2 and 3, and now I've met you. Now I'm making fires at Seabrook, and now I'm turning 21. All of that's coinciding all at once. Mm-hmm. I've got some really solid friends that are now in the fire department, and so it was not arrogance on a fire. It was just arrogant. It was arrogance at the station. That's the way I put it. Like I still took being at a fire very seriously, and I was very humble about it, trying to learn. But I was not doing a lot of preparation at the station as far as like fitness went and all of that stuff. And we were training, of course, but I was way more focused on, like, my pride came from how clean the station was, how clean the apparatus were. So we would work all day long. Like, I mean, we weren't sitting down on recliners until after dinner like that.
Sure.
We were moving around the station all day, but the pride was just on such a different level. When people walked into our station, yeah, it was clean. It was spotless. The apparatus were spotless. Make it run in the rain. When we came back, we rinsed it off. Like, it was very regimented, and that was where my pride came from versus doing some physical fitness and doing some more training for the fire ground itself. We trained rookies that way, right? But then beyond the rookie training, we weren't really working on ourselves at the time. So this is where the arrogance really started to come in.
The complacency.
And then the partying. The partying was man, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
That work kind of became work. And there were times through my rookie year I said, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I should do something else. It was like that difficult. And when you said like I missed my calling, every job feels that way. There are a lot of firemen talking about they should have been cops, myself included. There are a lot of firemen talking about, I want to go to the plants. I want to go make more money. This is terrible.
Right.
Like, can't afford anything. Like, there's, wherever you are, you're always looking at the next thing.
Sure.
So that's when all of those things started for me. 3, 4, 5. Now I'm partying and I'm like, man, I want to be a bartender as my side job. Like this is what, like, why am I living this square life, getting up at 5 in the morning? Like, I'm trying to sleep in. I stay up all night, bro. Like, the priorities start shifting really hard.
Yeah.
I enjoy going to fires, but don't go to a fire for 6 months. And it's like, I'm paid to clean this fire truck is what I'm paid to do. And then you just keep kind of compounding. So for people that don't know how the fire service works, is basically EMS is becoming a very, very important job, right? And it's very technical. These paramedics are road doctors.
Yeah.
For pre-hospital care, emergency medicine, these paramedics are doing everything that the hospital will do. There's really not much we're leaving off now. Like ultrasound machines, carrying blood, they're doing it all. And so to get people to do that, hey, the fire service should do it. That's kind of how that evolved in the 70s and 80s, was like combine them with firefighters. Like, we don't need a separate EMS station when we can just house them in the fire station. And then it just kept evolving. Like, well, we need more EMTs. Like, make firefighters be EMTs. Mm-hmm. Hey, there's only 2 people on an ambulance. We'll dispatch a fire truck with them. There's 4 dudes, right? So now we have 6 on this scene to help this fat person off this couch, right? So we don't tear up these 2 EMTs back. It just slowly evolved and worked its way into the fire service, and now they are one. You very rarely, you have to be an EMT to be a professional firefighter. 90% of places require you to be a paramedic. So this is becoming one job if it's not already there right now.
Houston is like that.
Everywhere is like that. Even Channelview too. I mean, Channelview Fire.
I thought Channelview was fire only, EMS only.
We have separate divisions. You come in as a paramedic in charge or a firefighter EMT. That's it. But now we rotate a little bit. And now we're in the same stations. Like, they're in our chain of command, everything. We are completely integrated. So when I came in, it was separate. We had a separate station. Even though it's the same, our paychecks are getting written from the same person, it was a completely separate division.
Yeah.
Inspections and safety, 2 separate things, or operations and safety, whatever. So all that to be said, all those lines are blurred now in my department and everyone else pretty much. And so in that 2 or 3 year process, all of that started happening too. So now we're making more EMS runs. Now I'm going to more CPRs. Now you're seeing all of that stuff. So now all that kind of, it's one thing to go to a fire where somebody died in it, right? Like, that's part of the job. It happens once every couple of years. Now you're going to go do CPR on someone like once a week or way more. So all of those things, I was like, man, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. Like, that's majority of the job now. I'm going to make 3 or 4 EMS runs a day. I'm going to go to a fire once a month. Like, what did I really sign up for here? You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's just a natural, it just is what it is. It's a natural progression for all fire departments. I was under the very select few that came in of just firefighters, and that was really all of our focus. Now EMS is a part of those phases I was talking about. Phase 4 now is getting credentialed on the ambulance as an EMT to drive a paramedic at Channelview. That's what we do.
Do y'all all have to be trained up to the paramedic status? Or is basic?
We don't. We're EMT basics. We're the last holdout for that. There's not a lot of that left either.
Dude, I thought HFD was that way.
So depends on the class. Yeah. You can get hired. When you get hired, let's say they hire you as a firefighter EMT. They train you as both.
Right.
they can come get you for like up to 2 years or 5 years. They can come grab your whole class and say, y'all are going to paramedic school right now.
Really? It's like the military or something. You know, I signed up for this MOS. Yeah. Okay,
That's
whatever.
funny.
Yeah. Hey, cool story, bro.
Yeah, sweet. Guess what? And so like it's a good system because everyone is a firefighter. So like even your paramedics, they understand it all. Like they understand the chain of command, the pumper captain's their boss.
Yeah.
They go to fires, they help out on the fires. Like it's a very fluid thing, you know, like they're integrated together. But yeah, you're a paramedic. Like that was 2 years of school. Now you're mostly on an ambulance, rotating to a fire truck every so often. That's a real thing. Some guys call it the prison sentence. And so like once they get you, okay, now you go to paramedic school, which if you fail, you get fired, by the way.
Ugh, yeah, so yeah.
Terrible. So pass it for your job.
Yeah, exactly. So now you got to pass this motherfucker.
Now you're a paramedic on an ambulance, and that's what you're going to do most of the time. Once or twice a month, you're going to rotate to a fire truck, but most of the time you're on an ambulance for about 5 years. And then you can apply to get off of the paramedic program and go back to being an EMT. Hopefully. And they have ambulances. They have some ambulances that are 2 basics, 6-month course, real simple. They have other ambulances that are medic units that are 2 paramedics.
ALS.
Road doctors, ALS. Yeah.
Advanced life safety.
Band-aid giver.
Yeah.
Start an IV and intubate you.
Right.
2 completely separate things.
Yes.
So I'm just an EMT basic still, but I've been doing it now so long that there's an aspect of I just understand what a paramedic does. I don't do it.
Okay.
I understand it. And like I said, they're in our, as a captain, you're going to supervise paramedics. Not on a clinical level. They have their own boss for that. They have their own clinical EMS supervisor.
Right.
Everything in the realm that's not clinical. Like, hey, why weren't you at the ambulance within 2 minutes? That falls on me. All the station life stuff. Yeah.
Got it.
So, yeah. And it's eventually where this is going to be in 10 years. If you want to be a firefighter, you're going to go to paramedic school and you're going to be a firefighter. You're going to go through 2 years, have an associate's degree, and go apply at your fire department.
Right.
That's going to be it. It's just not there yet. Dallas, it's already there. Austin, San Antonio, it's already there.
And I think maybe it's obviously they're doing that out of a necessity, right? It's a manpower thing.
Nobody wants to be paramedics.
Nobody, exactly. So no one wants to deal with that, and it's understandable. Matter of fact, there's a movie coming out here pretty soon.
Dude, I saw that.
Did you see the trailer for it? It looks intense.
That's going to be the most realistic fire service movie we've ever seen.
Probably, yeah.
That's going to be it.
Yeah, it's going to be, and it's EMS. Go figure.
What's it called?
What is it called? We should probably pull that trailer up real quick.
Yeah.
And while you look it up, oh man,
it's like a 3-minute trailer.
Check it out. It's because I need a break. It's got Sean Penn in it, and it's got something Sheridan. You just type in EMS movie Sean Penn, something like that.
Yeah, it'll
something should pop right up.
Yeah.
That's Asphalt City. Perfect. So if you can find a trailer for that, but don't play it just yet. Just get it queued up, get it ready, because I do kind of want to summarize kind of where we are real quick. So again, right, talk of all trades. It's about what it is that our guest and what their profession is. Because I have a little bit of experience with the fire service, a little bit. Scott and I have been kind of going off on like tangents and little things here
Which
and
we
there.
said we weren't going to do. By the way.
Yeah, but it's cool. I like it because undoubtedly you're going to show this to your people. I've already showed some, shared the link to some of my guys. So these guys are going to get it. They're going to pick up right what we're putting down.
Speaking of which, there are some people who have chimed in.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We got Johnny Rocket. I guess his name is Howell.
Oh yeah.
You know Howell? Okay.
Yeah.
And then let's see one other person.
Depending on the Howell, but I bet that's Patrick Howell.
Patrick Howell.
Patrick Howell. Okay.
That's who I'm thinking of. But
Cool.
maybe it's a different one.
Yeah.
Who's Johnny Rocket? Do we know Johnny Rocket? No? Okay.
What did he say?
He says, "I thought firefighters just drank beer and played softball."
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we want to do. Yeah, man. Yeah, for
Nice.
sure.
Then we got James Atkins,
James Atkins. Okay, cool. He's with my fire department.
Okay, cool.
Right on.
DPV FD.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he's out of my station too, Station 3.
So hopefully they're all still watching right now. So.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great, man. What did James say anything, or he just
James just said DPVFD.
got it?
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
Shout
Yes, sir.
out.
Shout it out,
Shout
baby.
out to Deer Park.
Reparent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. So again, what I want to say though is that if for our listeners, if you're thinking about a career in the fire service, several different career paths. What our guest has done is he has volunteered, started with a volunteer, organization, and then turn that into, you have to do some school, right? We didn't really say what it's called, but at the end of it, you get what's known, and here in the state of Texas, the TCFP.
Yeah, the TCFP certification, basic firefighter. And then to even be certified as a TCFP basic firefighter, you have to show EMS training. So that's almost always you get your EMT basic first.
So there you go.
Get your EMT basic, 6 months, 1 semester. Get your TCFP firefighter basic, which is some places 1 semester, some places 2. St. Jack is 2, College of the Mainland's 1.
Or Texas A&M is 16 weeks of
16 weeks.
pounded in you.
Get after it. Yeah. Fire Academy Online, that exists. But
wow.
Yeah, like it's terrible. But
yeah.
Hey, it exists.
Okay, yeah.
So those are your 2 options, and you can start applying. I would say 10% of fire departments are still hiring firefighter EMTs, majority of which are going to hire, if you get your firefighter paramedic, you now have a golden ticket to go anywhere in the state of Texas you would like to go.
Yeah, because that's where everyone's trying to trend to anyways.
100%.
Yeah. All right, cool. And again, the most of it is because it's a manpower issue. No one wants to be paramedic. I don't blame them. You see some pretty gruesome stuff. Just my little bit of fire service stuff and some of the things I've seen on the medic side. I mean, to me, those are some true heroes there, man. They get my 100% respect.
100%.
In Deer Park, we're separate.
Yeah.
At one point, if I have my history correct, the EMS service was a volunteer thing until, of course, the volunteers couldn't satisfy
the needs.
The needs, man. The needs of the citizens, man. And that's what it all boils down to. And when we come back, we can talk about that a little bit further. But I'd like for y'all guys to look at this upcoming EMS movie called Asphalt City. Check it out.
You believe in heaven? I don't know if I believe in heaven, but I believe in hell.
1, 2, 3.
How long you been on the job?
A few weeks.
This guy from Colorado, I'm putting him in with Russ.
I usually get here 10 minutes early. I like to ride with partners who do too. Yes, sir.
Tube me.
They'll die if you don't tube me.
Go, go, go.
You think these people like you?
Outside with the dog. We're trying to treat them.
I mean, yes, Madrid.
You think you're saving people?
I give you about 2 weeks.
What's going on?
30-year-old female. She just gave birth. Took some heroin for the pain. How's the baby?
I know what you're thinking. Is it worth it? It's the job. I did what I thought was right.
You ain't got what it takes for this life here.
You start doing this because you want to help people.
I don't want to go to the hospital.
Let's go, let's get a life here.
Sometimes you just end up doing the complete opposite.
Do it.
Tell the truth.
Do it.
Did paramedic Rukowski intentionally withhold treatment?
What am I doing?
Helping people get better.
I'm worried about you. You need help.
I told them it was a mistake. Get away from me.
Seriously, man, be careful.
We all work in the darkness. You don't gotta let it inside you.
You ain't got what it takes for this life here.
Yeah, so I saw that preview, I think, last night or maybe a couple nights ago, whatever. I didn't even know that was existing, that movie. But apparently that, I don't have to go into the history of that movie because I kind of did a little research on it. But you can already tell, anyone watching that's going to be some real deal shit.
Yeah, it is. And the EMS is surrounded with a lot of what I would call like non-emergency calls that people call in as an emergency.
Right.
So there's a lot of BS.
Toe pain.
lot of tummy pains that are going to come in that like you have to go to. That aren't emergencies, especially in the a lower income area. They're relying more on a city service. Maybe they don't have a vehicle to get themselves to the hospital or their doctor's visits. Like there's a lot that can go into that. So that's the big downside to EMS for people, is that you're going to make a lot of runs that you are just not needed here for, and you're going to have to deal with that. You have to be nice and take them to the hospital.
I think it's the equivalent to our bells and smells calls, right?
Yeah. Everyone in their job has something they don't like.
Yeah.
It's kind of amplified in the EMS world.
Sure. Yeah, because you're dealing with the citizen too,
for
in
sure,
a very direct way.
But then, and therein lies like the kind of the best part of the EMS and fire service is you just don't know when it's going to happen. But then you're going to make the shooting or the CPR or the whatever, the car wreck that actually somebody's stuck inside, like trapped in the car. Like that's going to be that will happen, and you're here for 48 hours hanging out. You've made 10 just complete bullshit runs,
right?
And you're frustrated, and your hamburger that you had for dinner is cold, and like, all right, I'm gonna go lay down, and then that run comes in, or you've gone a whole month without making a run like that. That's the best and worst part of this job to me, is that, man, you just don't know.
And I think that's why training's so imperative in the interim, is that you have to keep your skills sharp, because it's like anything, right? If you don't use it, you'll lose it in that case. And so,
Yeah, I'm big on just staying in the mindset. Even like these firefighters don't have to put their gear on every day. These paramedics don't have to train on starting an IV every day. But I need them to be in the mindset every day. I need them to be ready to do that. I need, like, you cannot be working out or taking a shower or going to the bathroom, and when this run came in, it was shocking to you. Like, you've just, if when you took your shower, you set out your new clothes.
Yeah. Prepared to jump out with soap and everything.
So I can do this.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, gotcha.
That's my aspect of it, is the workouts. Like, we don't walk around in a sleeveless shirt because you're going to have to go drive this fire truck. Whatever it is, like, have a shirt in the truck that you can put on so you don't make a run in your gym clothes. Like, all of those things to me is like, that's my number one priority, is just be ready for this stuff. And I'll be a little lax with the training. I'm not a guy that, there are some captains out there that, we're going to put hose on the ground every single day. And more power to them. I've worked for that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. And I was good when that was going on.
Right.
I'm not that guy, but that's my trade-off, though. My trade-off is you better be ready, though. Like, that's I'm gonna give you some wiggle room.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you some slack, whatever you call it. There's some micromanagers in the world. And
that's not good.
Whoo,
By the way, I'm glad we're getting onto this topic now.
This happened to work out perfectly.
Yeah. Well, because now we're at the point where I want to talk about leadership in the fire service, right? And so you have a very formal title, Captain.
Yeah.
Scott Douglas, and that captain carries some weight with it, and carries some. It has a very detailed role and responsibility that I'm sure that's etched out in your SOP, not no SOG.
No,
it is a policy / procedure, whatever.
For sure,
it's black and white. There's no deviation. So, can you talk us a little bit about?
100%. Yeah. So the way this works with Channelview is mirrored directly after the Houston Fire Department. So what I'm about to say is the exact same. You come in as a firefighter, you're a rookie. Now, after being a rookie, you are a firefighter. I was a firefighter for 7 years. The first promotion for that is engineer operator.
Okay.
It's a driver. So now full time you drive this fire apparatus. The only time in the fire department you can really hurt someone that's not you is driving it. Like, so now we have added responsibility of driving a 50,000-pound pumper at 70 miles an hour, down the streets, and when to go slow, when to go fast, when to do all these things, right? Knowing the territory in the streets, all of those things. So that's your first big promotion. Some fire departments, that's not a promotion at all. The first one is the next one. As a firefighter, you have to know how to do that, because if that guy calls off work or he's sick or whatever, we're going to ride up. So you're going to do it to some degree, just not every day. So first promotion is that. Now you're an engineer operator. I did that for 2 years. I was super fortunate. I got promoted because Channelview started building. They started staffing more. When I came in, it was 2 fire trucks and 2 fire stations. We've given more. For like the normal citizen, you see a fire truck that's kind of short with hose on it. Okay, that's an engine. The next thing you see is the big one with a big ladder on top. That's the ladder truck. We staffed one of those ladder trucks, and that's a whole separate job. That's a whole separate frame of mind. Every day you come to work, you're doing something different. Mm-hmm. And I could get into that. It's not super necessary, but either which way, we started staffing that, and that's what promoted me. Is we were making a bunch of chauffeurs all of a sudden, making more captains, making more everything. So there was going to be like 8 positions. So I studied, and again, hard and heavy in these party days, and I came out number 6, I think, out of like 10 or 15 that took this test. So I got a job, got promoted, drove for 2 years, and then a captain's test came up. Someone left. One of the chiefs left, which created a position. Boom, 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 boom.
Right.
So the whole fire department studying for their next job, pretty much. And I stopped drinking for this period of time. I went back to my old ways and just buckled down. And I don't know how to study very well at all. But I learned from just talking to people, just getting out there, getting on YouTube, study habits, some things to go about it. So developed a process, indoctrinated myself into it, and just read everything for 3 months straight. It was basically a textbook, the whole thing, and then like an opinion book, like a leadership book that was like 100 or 200 pages, and then a bunch of SOPs and SOGs.
Right.
So I did that. Took that test and came out number 1. Was very fortunate. They were making one position. I think 10 of us took it, and
so there's competition.
Fierce. I think we were all within a point of each other. When the written test was done, I think I was sitting at number 2. And then after, there's an assessment where they basically put up a TV and put up a fire. What are you going to do? Go. And you just got to start rattling stuff off. And then they give you all 3 sides of it. And so you get the opportunity to showcase your knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And it's a stressful deal. You're sitting in a chair like this and you're surrounded by chiefs with clipboards and white shirts, and they're in their button downs, and they are got the glasses on, and they're official, and it's on.
Yeah, man.
The pressure's higher than any. I was more nervous for that than I'd ever been on any fire I'd ever made in my career.
That's saying something.
Yeah.
Right, because that scene that you're talking about is literally life and death.
Yeah, no, they were able to bring the pressure for sure. So, but everything went well. I did good in my assessment, and that's where, especially for leadership, but really in all facets, I kind of, what's the word? I kind of plagiarized this, but no one had ever put it into words. I watched a podcast with a guy named DJ Shipley, if anybody watches podcasts. So he explained it this way, and it's how I've been doing this my whole career, and it's how I kind of got away without fitness, without some of these other things, without training every day. How I did that was like I can just snap into a flow state, raking leaves or blowing out the driveway, mowing the yard, and I'm completely somewhere else, and I can relearn more about the fire service than I ever would if I went and put my gear on and ran a mile, or forced a door or did a training evolution.
Okay.
In that sense is what I mean is that you picture the whole thing, like whatever that is, whether sit down on the couch in a dark room, turn the lights off, close your eyes, and just run through the whole process in the fire truck, putting your gear on, the smells, what it sounds like, making that right turn, my shoulder hit the window, like get there, I can smell it, smell it when you turn on the street before you get to the fire. For all the firemen, that guy who dropped the axe in the Halligan, that nothing else in the world makes that noise, ding, 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 like that tuning fork noise. Oh, the front door's open. He must have been able to open it. He didn't need the tools because he dropped them on the ground while I was walking around this house. I was able to just boom, 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 boom.
That's like some Rain Man shit, by the way.
It's not. You can do it too. Anyone can.
No, I know, okay, I get it.
Everyone can, but like you just got to sit there and go through every little step. And I want you to talk about the rock that's stuck in your boot that's on the concrete. Is that distracting you? It is distracting you. You're going to fix it? Fix it right fucking now. Like that's the level of a process that I would implore like anyone to do in any of your jobs, especially if you're in an emergency service job. But anything that's intense, any process that you have, like that, go through the step by step by step by step and get this whole picture. And then now where do you fit into it? Mm-hmm. And now how am I going to make the right decision? How am I going to, if it's a business meeting, right? Like, what does this person want? Right? You can manage this same thing through a negotiation. of whatever it is. So that's a big part of the leadership that I want people that I push onto the firefighters is like, man, okay, you've got to be picturing this whole thing, and I'm trying to catalog and download every little thing, because if I see Ryan do that again, I'm gonna know why. Why did he go right there? Why did he decide to crawl? I'm cataloging that, and I'm gonna ask him about it afterwards. Okay, was that just instincts, or did you see something? What did you see? You know, all of those, all that plays a big part. So man, yeah, that's where my leadership starts, is with that, is seeing the whole picture and being calm, mastering this chaos.
Right,
like, I'm calming down.
Yeah, you had started off with that earlier in the podcast talking about that, so we'll come full circle back to it.
Man, yeah. That's where it begins for everyone, is when you can take 100% accountability in every decision you made, 100% accountability in why I'm doing this, why I got up, you know, like every little thing. I stepped with my right foot instead of my left.
Sure.
Like that's the level of accountability that I try to operate at professionally. And you can't walk around like that every day. Some guys are going to try to, you know, some guys are going to fitness and they're going to divulge that. You can get too far into it too. There's a balance there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's where it kind of starts. And then it leads into, once I have that, and I had that as a security blanket, or I felt confident. I wasn't egotistical. I knew there was still a lot of mistakes to be made out there. But once that was a confidence, like if you don't think you're good, no one ever will. Right? You have to think you're good a little bit.
Right.
There has to be some confidence there.
Yeah.
So once that was there, then everything else led into, okay, this is how this is going to be easier. So station life as a captain that's what you do every day. Going to a fire, making a decision to go left or right, or go in the back door or the front door, that's what we all want to do, but you do that super rare in comparison to what you do at the station, how you're going to run your crew, how you're going to manage. So after engineer operator, all of that to be said, after engineer operator, you promote to captain. That was a terrible process, but that's how I got through it, was that mindset. So now I'm a captain on an engine, the lowest level of being an officer. You're the frontline guy. Everyone brings their problems to you. You run the station. That's how that works. On an engine, I'm in charge of that engine and those three other there's 2 firefighters and a chauffeur. I'm in charge of those 3 guys.
Yeah.
You make majority of the runs. You make all those EMS runs. That ladder truck that's sitting next to you has 4 dudes on it too. That's a senior captain. That's the next promotion after mine. So now you get there. Well, that's a big, long fire truck it's a $2 million fire truck with a lot of equipment. That's not meant to go on 10 runs a day. That's meant to sit there for when something's on fire or flipped over. That's where it goes. You know, we had a kind of a heated argument yesterday on putting equipment on that ladder truck and where it's going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because it's big and long and heavy, and you know, how to stabilize an 18-wheeler if it falls off an overpass. Shit. Like, that's what that ladder truck does.
Yeah.
So that's its whole mindset. They're sitting there all day kind of cooking, more or less. They're trained to blah, blah, blah. But, like, they get to make the 1 run a day. That's the older guys are generally going to be there. That's not where a rookie goes.
Right.
And then after that, there's a district chief. He's in a Tahoe. He's in a white shirt and slacks. He does not get dirty. The fire SUV, baby. That's my goal one day, man. I'm a fire. This is just an SUV.
Yeah, that's sad and unfortunate.
That's sad and unfortunate. This is just an SUV. Man, so that's where I want to be eventually. But that guy, I mean, he's not in a blue shirt anymore. He wears white. It's not supposed to get dirty, and it will a little blah blah blah. But that's a whole different mindset. He literally sits in the car on a fire and tells these pumpers and ladder trucks what to do.
Right.
A house fire, your run-of-the-mill everyday house fire, is 4 engines and 2 ladder trucks, and then 1 chief. That's what's coming in my environment.
Okay.
And so the pumpers with 4 of us, we are competitive.
Oh, yeah,
like,
I bet.
Oh, I want to get there. The ladder trucks, their job is there. They're going to the roof. They're searching. That's going to be there.
Right.
But who's going to be first in that front door with that hose line?
First in.
Woo!
That's where all that goes
Baby,
from.
yeah, like that's the competition right there. And that's where you've seen fire trucks getting wrecks with each other. You've seen fire trucks hit fire trucks in intersections because I wasn't stopping. Oh, I'm going. You should have stopped. And then they both felt that way. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, that is terrible.
And that now we circle back to a captain. Now we circle back to discipline. When I need to let my chauffeur go and when I need to pull those reins back a little bit.
Sure.
What's worth it, what's not worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's, I think, kind of a change that's different in maybe a professional world versus a non-professional fire department world, is we put a lot in the non-professional world on the chauffeur, on the guy that's driving. If he got in a wreck, that's his fault. There's a huge piece of that in my world that's not the case. It will be his fault too, but it's going to be that officer's fault. They're going to come to him. Why'd you let him do that? You didn't see that? Mm-hmm. Oh, you were on your phone. Mm-hmm. Oh, like they'll spin that right around on you. Like you're the guy in charge of that. So there's a balance of allowing when your people know what to do, let them do it. I don't need to stand over them and do it. I don't need to stand over them and say, no, turn the screw to the right first. Right. There's a huge balance of that. And to me, it comes down to the training or to the conversations and the mindsets that we've had.
Right.
If I've talked to you about how the truck should be checked off every morning, right? We get there, we're going to look through everything, make sure it all works. I don't need to sit out there
and watch you do it
on year 2 to make sure you're doing that correctly. No. There are guys that do. There are some captains that feel like, oh, this is the most important thing in the fire department, and if our equipment doesn't work, then we don't work. So
which that's true.
I have to take investment in this.
Well, that's true, but trust your people to take care of that.
There's a balance.
Yeah.
And everyone's different on like what I'm going to micromanage on and what I'm going to let go, what I'm going to just trust them on. So I'm super big on trust. I've been very fortunate. I have 3 very solid guys, my chauffeurs, my chauffeur, my 2 firefighters. We've been together now 3 or 4 years. We've moved shifts together. We've operated together. Like, there's not a lot of talking that goes on a fire anymore. We just got it.
Yeah.
And so, but we've done it so much. We've talked about it. We've gone over it. We did all that our first year together, and now it just runs smoothly.
It's a well-oiled machine now.
Yeah, almost to the point to where we're getting complacent about it because we just know what everybody else is doing all the time. Like, we get out on a fire, we don't even, we're gone for the first 2 minutes of it until we all congregate back to where we're supposed to be.
Right.
Just because we're all doing our own thing, and it's just, there's a trust there. He's going to the front door, I'm going to the back door, this guy's pulling the line. It's going to happen every time.
Right. Right.
So, to me, what became very apparent early on was I care much more about who I work with versus where I work. I'll go to the slowest station with the best dudes than the busiest station with the worst dudes.
Sure.
And I did not deal with authority well. I still struggle with it. I'm better now than I ever have been. But yeah, it sucks when you have a guy tell you to do something that you don't want to do, and then he tells you to do it every day for a year. Like, yeah, it's not fun. So that was really the whole driving force for promoting was, man, when I work for someone that I like, I'm great. I'm good at being a firefighter.
Yeah.
But when you work for someone that you hate, like, oh no, I need to promote. I need to be a captain because I don't want to work for that guy ever again. So that was my driving force. That's what told me I need to go, because my captain, who I was driving when I was a chauffeur, I was driving the senior. I was very fortunate. I got to drive the ladder truck. And so I was driving that same mentor, that guy I'm still working for him today. I was driving him, and he was promoting on to being a chief, and he was leaving our shift. He was gone, essentially.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who the next one was going to be. And the next one very potentially could have been someone younger than me in a bad way. Someone younger than me, not in age, but in the fire service, in experience, in all of those things. And I just asked myself, like, man, am I going to allow that? Am I going to be okay with that? Because when he tells me what to do and it's wrong, I'm going to have to swallow that pill. Like, you chose not to promote, so now you do what I say, right? I had to come to terms with that. Am I going to be okay with that? And eventually I decided, no, I'm not going to be okay with that. Like, I'm going to promote. And so that's why I gave it so much.
Sure. And if you allow me to say this too, first off, congratulations on that promotion. Mostly too, because I didn't realize what all went into it. Now I recognize the competition and what you were up against.
Yeah.
The fact that you even had to learn how to study, you know what I mean?
I had no idea.
Like, that's quite the accomplishment, man.
Thank
you know
you.
what I mean? So congratulations are most certainly in order. And then also too, I want to speak to this point. I think it's, with your experience, what you have to offer, you deserve to be in a formal leadership position, because you can affect the atmosphere, the environment in a positive way as a regular schmegular firefighter.
For sure.
You know, because you can kind of get everybody on board and stuff. But if with a formal leadership title, it comes with a natural influence with it already.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you'll be able to really put that out there. And again, what you've gone through and your experiences, you know, you have a lot to offer and to help establish, you know, again, a good conducive work environment. You know, some of these jobs, man, they're hard enough already without having to add to the bullshit and creating a hostile work environment.
We are our own worst enemy.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
You know what I mean? And so, you know, you have the wrong person in that leadership role. And see, that term leadership gets used quite a bit. Leadership, you know, should be reserved for the person that exhibits those qualities. If you're not one of those people because you still need to develop as a leader, then you're just nothing more than just a person in a position of authority.
Yeah.
And what's going to end up happening, and what most people in studies and statistics have shown, is that people typically are quitting their bosses. They're leaving their bosses. They're not quitting.
You don't quit the job. You quit the boss.
Exactly.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? And
God, I can't say that
And so I think that's awesome that you accepted what was going to be the next natural step in your career anyways. You know, whether or not it happened in the time frame that you wanted it to or whatever, it happened how it was supposed to happen. And so I'm glad that you are in that position now.
Yeah, thank you.
As captain, because now you get a chance. And I think you've seen now, how long have you been captain now?
2 years.
2 years? Okay,
Yeah.
so you get to see now how your influence on a station, on a shift, you
For
know,
sure.
what that looks like compared to even some others. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I've moved shifts now twice. We have an A, B, C, D. I've been on the B, the D, and the A now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just not C.
Just not C. Yeah. Which I've worked on all of them now.
Sure.
Well, and I started off my promotion with a bang. I hit the floor running. Soon as that mentor gave me that red helmet, I sat it up front and I went to like 10 fires in 2 months. Like it was just nonstop. And they was like really good ones. There was, in the back of my mind, I had some shortcomings as a fireman. I knew this was going to be an issue when I made this particular fire.
Right.
And then it was. And then that was my first one. And then I had a fight between two firefighters in the kitchen. And then I had not an HR issue, but a conflict with another captain that we let just get out of control and boil. Yeah. And then I got disciplined. I was suspended and transferred and the whole 9 yards. So
wow.
All of that happened in the first year. So I hit the ground running.
You covered all the bases.
Yeah, man. I learned so much. And so after all the dust settled with all of that movement, between it was just a lot. It was just a lot going on. After that dust settled, I really started it takes everyone a year, I feel like, in any new position, whether that's a new job, a new anything. It takes you a year to understand it fully. I think that's important. And so I chose in that year, I went into it like that, mostly to observe. That was the plan. Was mostly I'm going to observe and be humble and learn, and then I'll start with my bullshit day 365.
Right.
I had to act on certain things, so I didn't quite get to do exactly what I wanted to, but I think that mindset now, looking back, holy moly, am I glad I did that, because all the things I wanted to say or some of the things I believed in, now a year into it, looking back, oh no.
They don't hold true no more.
No. Like, I'm so glad that I was able just to kind of keep a lot of that reserved. Like, if you let that ego run, it will run. It will go.
You might end up saying something that you obviously will regret.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Later on and go, oh, crap. Now you got to, mud on your face or whatever.
You see people that get the new position, whatever it is. If you went from being a bartender to the manager and you're making the schedule, and now they start reinventing the wheel. Mm-hmm. Like, yo, give it a year, right? Fall into the process of what the old manager was doing. Give that a second and make your changes slowly.
There you go.
Take your time, and we can affect culture change. One person can do that. That's all it takes is one. I'm a huge believer in that, and I always will be.
Right.
But take your time. Don't try to change the world in a day. Don't light switch this, and never lose your temper. In any managerial leadership role, people are going to test you. You're going to have the person that does. And same thing as going to the fire. You're the master in this chaos. You have to calm down and hit them with the facts. And there's going to be times when you have to say, well, it is what it is, man. I'm the captain and we're doing it this way. I hear you. Thank you. But no, that's not what we're doing. But it's so rare.
Sure.
And people want to act like that's every day.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not.
No.
It's just simply not.
Yeah.
And people come at you with an idea like, oh, no, we do it this way. Like, really? You sure? You sure you know the best way to do that? You sure? That just sounds like arrogance. Like, you're not willing to learn something new? Like, you're not willing to try this out? So, but we're going to try it out, and we're going to test it, and we're going to evaluate it, and then we're going to make a decision afterwards.
Yeah.
And people will come at you with that in anything, whether it's the new cash register system or this new pay system. Like, okay, I hear you. Let's see it.
Yeah.
Let's try it. And I'll try anything once.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know, that's where the leadership kind of starts and ends with me is just being humble and taking 100% accountability for the team. You're the guy.
Yeah.
If that guy failed, that's your fault. That's not his.
No.
It just is what it is.
Right.
You know, in all aspects of it. And I think that just equates to every job that's out there. Anybody that's doing anything.
Sure.
100% accountability. Your life's going to get better.
One thing you talked about in your preparations for the captain's test, and you had mentioned how you had read a book. I think it was a leadership development book.
Yeah.
That wasn't required reading, was it?
No, that was.
Oh, it was? Okay,
no, that
excuse
was,
me. All right.
So now I've read a lot outside, especially those early years. I think I'd read every fire service book there was.
Yeah.
I was a reader for a time, then it went away, and now it's really come back into my life. But yeah, I read all those books. Some of them really helped. But again, a lot of that comes back to, like, are you going to introduce these practices into everyday life? Like, are you going to revisit them to make sure you're fresh on it? Or are you going to take this one idea, run with it for 3 weeks, and then just completely forget it and revert back to who you were? You can read a book all you want, and then you can tell people you read this book, and cool, bro. You know, but, like...
Are you living it?
Are you living it? Yeah, are you living it? So I think form your own process, you know, whatever that means. But take those examples and, okay, good. But now what are you going to do with this information?
I think that's why you back to what you said about hold off for a year. I think maybe that's why it's so important. And you know, if you find yourself in the leadership position, formal leadership position, take that time. Okay, so we're gonna hold off for a year, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna step into the status quo, so to speak.
Every conversation, you have a smile on your face.
Sure.
For a
Okay.
year.
Yeah. Right.
That's
yeah.
where we're at.
You got it. You definitely. Excuse me.
That's the vibe.
You definitely need to maintain an agreeable demeanor. Excuse me, no doubt. But in that year, goodness, excuse me, in that year, take the time to do what you said. I think read those leadership development books.
Yeah.
Pull from what you want, what sounds good to you, what sounds relevant, what sounds something like you'd be able to do and consistently do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that you think is going to make the most change as you're developing your plan for what your leadership tenure legacy is going to look like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As you're
Yeah.
developing that in that year that you're observing and being quiet and seeing what's going on. And yeah, some things you can take effect, change right away. For me, you know, and I have a leadership title as well at my department. I've been recently voted to.
Hey, that's a big deal.
It is.
Your peers had to choose you.
That's true. So you know, I didn't have to take a test in a volunteer house. You get voted on.
Yeah.
But you know,
No, that's harder in a lot of respects.
But that being said, though, you know, it's back to even what I said earlier. How serious you decide to take it is what's gonna make the difference there. It's what's really gonna show. And so one of the things that I know for a fact I wanted to make sure was gonna, and I haven't had any issues with this yet, but one thing I know that doesn't have to wait a year, we're gonna respect each other right off the rip, 100%.
Yeah.
Everyone from the lowest performer to the highest performer is gonna be respected as a person.
Yeah.
And then because what ends up happening a lot of times, and I brought performance up because what ends up happening, I think a lot of times is you start to have those contentious relationships between people, coworkers in particular, mostly over performance. Every now and again, you'll run into, I just don't like this dude because of who he is. Okay,
Yeah.
well, there's not so much we can do about that.
Yeah, sorry.
You know, but with the performance stuff, I mean, that's our bread and butter, right? And so, anyways, back to what I was saying. I want everyone to respect one another on a human level.
Yeah.
When it comes to the performance, if we do have a low performer, again, revert back to the human level with compassion and with the mindset of we need to build this individual up. So we need to have that compassion and so we can do that. And so we all have to come together and do that. If that individual still isn't meeting the standard, now it's mostly on that individual.
Now we move forward.
Yeah. Now
in
this is
in a worse process. Yeah.
Yeah, it will. For that person, it's
Yeah.
going to end up probably being, this isn't for you. You got to go. We got to cut ties. But that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because, you know, again, we like you said, this job isn't for everyone.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you're probably good at a lot of things, buddy, but this isn't one of them, unfortunately. So we need to separate.
Yeah, so we're really big on that. That was a part of being a captain in the beginning. I think I've had 5 rookies that were assigned to me, and 2 of them made it. The last 2 that I had.
Wow.
Well, and I didn't get to see the last 2 all the way through. I ended up swapping them. They got hired at the same time. It's a long story, but
Yeah.
But you had to convince the first 3 to quit, and that's what needed to happen. They, you know, one of them kind of did it on his own. One of them, he was actually good and left the first one, but those next 2 after that, like, they needed to not be there. And you can't exactly fire them for, you can, but it's difficult. You know, in these professional
Yeah, 'cause
environments,
it's
this
a legal thing.
world
Yeah,
we live
yeah,
in,
yeah.
we are not going to fire someone. It depends. You have to be pretty egregious to be fired in this world, and or you have to do something quite egregious. But so now I got to convince this person to quit, like, and that's difficult, you know. So that was a part of my first, you know, talks with these kids is, okay, how do I do this with a smile on my face? I had to tell myself that, like, can I take 100% accountability that I've downloaded all of my information into this guy, and he just doesn't get it. It really is him, or it's a physical thing, it's a mental thing. Firefighting, if you can remain calm, is actually not hard work. Contrary to popular belief, it's not that much. If you can remain calm, we're moving this stuff, we're walking around. I came into this house, I opened this nozzle, I held it, the fire goes out. The basics can be quite simple and quite low key if you're calm. So that's my biggest struggle with the rookies. They can't calm themselves down, and they overwork themselves, and now they're tired, now they're heat exhausted, or now they pass out, or they're just being dramatic. Well, when that happened 3 months in a row, okay, hey, bud,
Something's not clicking.
Channelview's not for you. It just is what it is. So I've got to convince this person to sign this resignation. That was difficult, you know. It's a little bit of coercion in there for sure. But afterwards, I kept up with them, which you're really actually not supposed to do. But I did. I kept up with those guys afterwards and made in contact with them. And I actually got thank yous from both of them, like, hey, that wasn't for me. And one of them was another firefighter at a fire department, not to be named.
Sure,
you know?
sure.
And he loves it, and everything's good over there. But he came in on his first day and was sitting on the couch, like, and that's just that environment. Yeah. Hey, it's a different place.
Yeah.
Cool, go over there and do that.
Yeah.
And both of them, I got, you know, thank yous, and it just is what it is. You know, not cutting the mustard.
Yeah.
You know, and that's again, to circle back, it's the benefit to a smaller place versus a larger place is they have a bunch of diehards that are now 30 and juniors, and hey, get after these rookies, you know, hey, treat them like you were treated. You know, like you talk about enacting culture change from what it was 10 years ago to now, and then because we went through some years that we were way too hard on rookies, irresponsibly difficult on rookies, and some quit when they shouldn't have, and so now let's rein back. Sorry to hear about those guys. It is what it is. They're gone. Now it's time to, how do we right
Collateral
the ship?
damage, unfortunately.
At some point, you've got to right the ship, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah. Hopefully for those, and just speaking on a different level, hopefully those guys that may have got run out during that time maybe found a department or a fire, you know, somewhere that
another job. Yeah.
But I mean, I still agree. You know, not this job isn't for everyone. Like we've said, but it also, you said something that sounds pretty interesting. It sounds like okay, not only is this job not for everyone, but maybe you can find a department that does fit for you. You know, some people
or an ambulance.
I love the fire service. I just can't do this particular department for one reason or another.
Well, and sometimes when you make mistakes, some people, it's super easy right here in this world to talk about moving on past someone's mistakes, right? Some firefighters and even captains and leaders, which this is a terrible quality to have, but they can't get past watching that dude make that mistake 4 or 5 times in a row. And now, even though he's doing good, they don't trust him. Sometimes you just betrayed that trust too early on, and it's going to be very difficult for you to overcome this. And some people, again, can't manage authority and can't overcome it in that sense. Like, this guy doesn't trust easy, and you're going to have to do right more than the 10 times you did it wrong, you know, to get right. You can't do it one time and expect that he trusts you, you know? So sometimes unfortunately, some guys that aren't willing to put in the work to reset a terrible mistake, you just got to move on and don't make that mistake where you go next. You know, live and learn type stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And I think you see that especially in the restaurant industry. You see people bouncing around, you know, like they whatever happened at this restaurant, it didn't go well, fired or quit, and then but they flourish at the next place. And they do great.
Yeah, because they learn from that lesson or whatever the case
Big
may
time.
be. And so the same obviously is true in the fire service. Why is trust such a big issue?
Trust. Everything falls back on accountability and trust.
But why is that such a big deal?
So directly to the fire service, none of us, there's not a fire department that's ever going to respond to a fire and show up with the adequate amount of people to fix this problem, right? We're always just going to be understaffed. Go into it knowing that. So I have to trust you to do your job while I'm not looking. I have to trust you that if anything happens to me, that you're not going to also get out of here and bail. All of those things, like, I have to trust that you checked off the apparatus correctly. It started there, and now it's equated to a life and death situation that probably won't happen in my career, right? But it might. Like, actually, we do some dangerous shit.
Yeah.
Today's that day. Can I trust you that, you know, that we're...
That on this day you checked the truck correctly and didn't skip over it because, like you said, we don't go to fires every day.
Yeah.
You didn't get complacent, so I got to trust that you did. Because the consequence, that's what I wanted you to say. I knew you were going to say it. Because the consequences are life and death.
It can be, yeah. When I go to the back, you have to open the front door. You have to look at it. I'm not going to be there. And then did you look for the person behind the door? I've brought out a few people in my career now, and one of the ones that sticks out a lot to me was the dude that was behind the front door that we didn't find for 5 minutes because that dude that opened that front door didn't look back there like we've trained and talked about, and we trusted him that he did. So now we all go into this fire and we go into this back bedroom, we put this out and we're high-fiving, and where is this guy behind the front door?
God.
Yeah. Man, that just hurts the stomach, you know? Like,
yeah. I bet that was a difficult conversation to have, probably.
Oh, yeah. But again, 100% accountability, learned up, owned up, all that.
So let me ask you this: could that situation have been one of those times where, say, okay, that firefighter didn't look behind the door? Could that have been one of those times where
that firefighter was me, by the way?
Oh, damn. Okay, well then that answers that answers what I was about to say.
Yeah.
By the way, thank you for saying that, because that just goes to show the humbleness of it all.
I made a bunch of mistakes.
That's very vulnerable thing to admit, and I think that in this ego-driven, you know, it's in the backdrop always.
Yeah,
I think it's good to be able to highlight your mistakes.
A lot of them.
Because that's how you can learn from them. That's how other people can learn from them. This, that, and the other. But it sounds to me like that situation there too could have been one of those times where, let's say, a firefighter couldn't recover from that. You know, and his reputation is mud now in that department or whatever the case may be. You know, now he might have to move on, like we were discussing earlier.
Yeah,
could one of those things be
for sure?
That?
Once you're in, that's not as a big deal, especially if you're not making those mistakes often.
Okay, gotcha.
You see guys that fall into a slump 3 or 4 years in, but they make mistakes for a year straight. That's going to be when you're, you know,
that's different. I got you.
Again, that's one of the things that we really preach at where I'm at is make a mistake and move on.
Yeah.
Cool. You did it. You owned up.
Yep.
Now we're moving on to the next thing, and that's behind us.
Right.
The rookie phase is much more difficult to get past that because you don't have the 4 years of experience before that mistake happened of doing good. When you show up as a rookie and you keep making these mistakes, like, well, I have no trust. And now you've never shown me something to trust. Versus 4 years went by, I did really good. You know, then this mistake happened. Okay, let's not do this again.
Yeah.
And then the next fire, everything went well. Okay, cool. We're good.
Yeah, we're past that. That was just a minor little whatever. Yeah, because we're human and mistakes are going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Right. And like you said, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
no,
ahead.
no, because like you said, right, you're understaffed. You're responding to a call, so you're already behind the ball, right?
Yeah. Somebody had to call 911.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So this emergency has been taking place.
To any of the firefighters that ever watch this, Mo Davis is a guy. He does some keynote speech, and golly, he starts the keynote speech and he's like, "Okay, everybody, just do this little trick with me. I want you to hold your breath starting now. And as soon as you can't hold your breath anymore, raise your hand." It's like 100 people in front of him, right? And he just presses play on a 911 call. Boom. 911, what's your emergency? And it goes through this whole process. By the time the fire department's even told there's an emergency, it's been 2 minutes, and half the class has raised their hands. Okay, so you were trapped in a house. You were just dead, right? A CPR. You know, that's what these people are going through. That's it right there. That's the video. It's a 45-minute video.
Oh, yeah, we don't
no. That's it. But for any of those people, like, go watch this guy, this keynote, this speech. It's 45 minutes. And there's some clips of it, too.
Yeah.
But he's a chief of the city, solid dude. And man, that resonated more than anything with me. Was like, okay, I'm so behind the ball just because of the process to get me there. I got to be good. You know, like, you don't have a choice. You've got to be good.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for now, you know, we're approaching a 2-hour mark, so we'll go ahead.
Oh yeah, I know my wife needs me home, baby.
Yeah, you got a little baby to go tend to.
I got that little
I hear
baby.
you. So I'll try to wrap this up. You know, we'll get to a point where we can wrap this up, but you know, training is imperative, right? Having the right mindset, I think we've talked about, is imperative. Having that trust, you know, having that accountability. Sounds like all these things, right? So we talked earlier. You know, uh-oh. Hey. Alexis. Uh-oh. Hang on, stand by. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
We got a dog there. He's like, get in there. All right. So you have for anyone listening, remember, you know, it's school in the beginning, you know, and then it's these other things I just mentioned once you're in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can drive success in your career. And I think you're just constantly learning, constantly training, you know, once you got, because it sounds to me like, to be honest with you, I know the school and the academy can weed some people out, because then, yes, you'll find out right away is SCBA and the PPE and all that in these situations. Okay, this ain't for me. Okay, so I gotta go. Right.
Yeah.
But if you're able to get past all of that, then I think the real work really does come in once you get into the station.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure. I think from the fire service to anything else, anything you're gonna do, I think if you're taking 100% accountability, if you're giving out trust, if you're buying into the program, right? I'm here to make this better. I'm here to have a good time. You're going to be successful. I don't have some secret to success, and we all fall into our bad days. But majority of the time, you can come in with a smile on your face. I'm going to learn something, and I'm going to do something for someone else. Start there.
Yeah.
Start there and just watch where this goes.
Yeah.
And you're going to be successful. Whether that's starting a small business, whether that's walking into a restaurant as a 16-year-old kid or a 38-year-old man. Like, you're starting something new. And man, if I can, a piece of advice is just continue challenging yourself. Like, that's going to be on my list of something to do. Like, I'm going to go get a new job sooner than later. You know, like, the boy's getting just a little bit older, like, I'm going to go walk into, whether I start volunteering again or whether I go get a side job at a bar, like, it's time for me to start learning something a little new just to get that challenge, you know?
Sure.
I need to dive into fitness. Like, that's been a thing in my life that I don't do, and I don't like to do it.
No, I know. But you need to.
But it's time.
It's
you know?
time.
It's time, 30, you know, it's time. So continue challenging yourself in some of those ways, and I think you get a big reward out of it. You're going to have some failures, there's no doubt, but you see a reward that comes from that challenge. And just set that second donut down, man. You know, just have the first one. Okay, cool, but because you're gonna go work it off here in a little bit,
right?
You know, all of those. You know,
matter of fact, when I leave here, so fitness I've just recently got into, right? But it's always been in the back of my head.
Yeah,
I do have a foundation in fitness, just from like football.
Yeah,
and stuff like that, you know. And I had an uncle that was really into working out, so he was like my fitness coach, and really established a foundation for me, because you have to understand, like, I'll try to say it real quick. So was like anything, right? Football was life, right?
Oh, yeah.
In that little bit of time there, I tore my ACL sophomore year,
Booby miles.
and I'm like, man, I'm just like, dude, yeah, I know, right? And I'm just like, dude, my football career is over, and I'm like sulking, right? And I remember like a week of doing this, right? My uncle, who's been, like I said, who worked with me for years, building me up to this level, he kind of leveled with me. He's like, look, dude, he's like, I've been watching you kind of sulk around for a whole week now. And I was trying to be cool, give you your space, but it seems like you're not snapping out of it. So I need to let you know, you're 5'7", 135 pounds. You never had a football career. High school football was going to be it for you, dog.
Yeah,
and that was it. So I was like, oh, shit.
I love those.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah, and then that was also. I was like, well, he's absolutely right. So, I guess it's time to see what drugs and alcohol are about. So,
Yeah, let's go,
yeah.
let's go.
No, but for real though, I was like, okay. So, years went by. I still would always come back to fitness in some form or fashion, but not really consistently. Here recently, I've been very consistent with the fitness. The cool thing about Instagram and these things and social media is that it's an algorithm. If you choose to fill your head with trash, that's what's going to show up on your feed. What I've chosen to fill my feed up with is with these, and in particular with the fire service, right? These pages like Prepared to Fight Fire, Tip of the Spear Leadership, Blue Collar Firemen, like all these awesome, Fit to Fight Fire, all these different pages that and they all stress fitness as being a foundation. And it's like, it's been in the back of my head for the longest time. I knew kind of like where you're at right now. Remember, I'm a little bit older than you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so at 30, no, dude, I'm still partying. I'm still doing my thing, right? So here I am, 36, and I'm going, okay, yeah, now it's time. And like I said, I've been doing it now for consistently good for about five months now.
Yeah.
Working out and all this stuff, and I've seen the improvement.
Yeah.
And I'm working out in gear. I'm doing all these different little things that I'm watching and seeing online. All these different little routines that you can do.
Well, it's a confidence booster when you get in there.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And look, I just got a request. What's up? You gonna show something? Yeah. So let me go ahead and confirm that so you can see, because my shit's private, dog. Anyways, the point is, the fitness is the foundation. If you know, as a firefighter, if you know that that's something that you're lacking in, it's at the very top, it's pinned, then that's the thing you need to do.
That's it right there.
Yeah, that's it, baby. That's the thing you need to do, and you need to get into, and just do it, and just start. All the things that we talked about. Having the all in attitude, the
all out effort,
all out effort, training, and investing in the accountability. Well, the fitness part is going to be a thing as well. You need to be accountable for that as well.
And that's in your daily life. Yeah, that's in everybody's daily life. You're just going to feel better naturally, right? And then you don't want to get too arrogant with it. We've all seen that guy too.
Sure.
But there's no doubt you're just going to feel better. Like, you're going to release those endorphins. It's going to work. And then what you're doing right there, like breathing air, working out, like that's going to make a difference when you get into this house fire. And I'm not even noticing that I'm breathing off this air pack. Right, versus the guy that the whole time in the back of his head, and I've been there. He's thinking about, like, oh my God,
That's very familiar.
We've all been in that terrible environment. So,
yes, sir. Me too.
So, there's a lot to it, to working through all that stuff, and that's where I talk about the whole picture.
Yeah,
that's where I circle back to this whole thing. How I worked when I wasn't in my face piece, and now I am on air, and now why does this change? And it does. Now I'm in a marathon, not a sprint. I found someone. This is a sprint to get them out, but guess where I'm going to? You know what I mean? Like, two different things. That's where all that circles back to knowing this whole thing, getting this whole picture down. How am I going to operate when I am on air? Because it is different, and it needs to be different.
Right.
It's thought process. But at no point is fitness going to make you worse.
No
with the
doubt.
exception of going crazy in CrossFit and tearing your ACL. It's never,
don't injure yourself.
But at no point are you going to feel bad that you did this.
Exactly.
You will feel bad that you took a nap, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's coming for you. You'll get into it for sure, no doubt. Yeah. And I know you already have it.
I do the minimum.
Yeah.
I still do it. I still do the minimum that's out there. You know, I still do the walk-in and the rucks and the backpacks and the occasional towers or whatever.
Hell yeah.
Still do the minimum, and I'm still going to enough fires to where it's still there. But Yeah, it's getting to a point to, hitting that age of 30.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just easy anymore. It's not
No.
just there automatically. That breath isn't just there. 10 years of drinking and smoking, all that stuff's there.
Catches up to you, dog.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. Why my heart rate so high? Like,
It happens to the best of us, man.
happens to the best of us.
I love it. Well, dude, this has
All
been
right,
great.
man.
We'll end it here, but do you want to leave us with any lasting thoughts or anything?
So no lasting thoughts. If anybody has questions, comments, if you watch this in 4 years, whatever, whatever that comes about, feel free to reach out. I'm always willing to talk about this kind of stuff, whether it's fire service related or not.
Sure.
I love hearing about other people's jobs. That's why I'm such a fan of this podcast, because
Cool,
I
thank you.
dive into that. I love talking to people about their careers. I'm very career driven. So hearing about what other people do for a living, I love that. So if anyone has questions in the future, reach out. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. You can reach out to Thomas or Cody. These guys will be able to put you in touch with me with an email address or a phone number or whatever. So,
No doubt.
yeah, feel free, man. That's it.
This has been a pleasure, man. It
Yes,
really
sir.
is. And I know we could talk forever about this stuff.
Oh, my goodness. I know, bro. We could keep going.
We could keep
we need to
going, man.
stop.
And
Yeah.
we'll stop it here for now because there'll be a part 2. I'm almost certain.
Yeah.
And it'll be
6
great
months,
to have
a year,
you back
whatever.
on.
We'll see where we're all at.
Yeah, see where everybody's at.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks.
Cool,
Well,
man.
appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Cody.
Keep showing up. If no one invests in you, invest in yourself. If no one believes in you, believe in yourself. Even if you don't see the results right away, keep showing up until you do see the results. Even if you don't see the results for a very, very long time, keep showing up. What if the results don't come? They're not going to come if you quit. Keep showing up. I'm tired. Keep showing up. I don't feel like it. Keep showing up. I can't see any results. Keep showing up. I don't know where to start. Just start. Do something. Take that first step. Every step you take adds up. And sooner or later, you'll look back and see that you're at the top of the staircase. It doesn't matter if you can't see the top from where you are. Just know that if you keep climbing, if you keep learning how you can get to the next level, you will soon be exactly where you need to be.
Hey guys, thanks for watching another episode of Talk of All Trades. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to hit that like button, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. That way you don't miss an episode.
And if you would like to be on the podcast, or if you know anyone who would like to be on the podcast to talk about their trade, please feel free to reach out to us at talkofalltradespodcast@gmail.com. Again, hit us up, talkofalltradespodcast@gmail.com. Hope to hear from you.
See you next time.